Hey, testing, testing. Let me make sure that my voice is on. Voice is going to be a little raspy though. Hey, okay, I can hear myself. It's all good. So yeah, as you know, my voice goes out very, very easily, and I've been kind of back to back doing these streams, so it's gonna be hella deep. Voice gonna be deeper than usual. Yeah. I was kind of angry doing my last live stream. In fact, I was like in a good mood. I was in a pretty good mood yesterday until I had discovered this right here. This well, the video, this Matt Walsh channel. Yeah, that popped up as a recommend. So it just showed me how bold they are getting. Now it is bad enough that there was never any justice for this young man and his family and for our people with the Emmett Till tragedy of him being brutally unalive by white racists over a lie, yeah, yes, a lie, an exaggeration. If you believe what that woman said in court, Carol Bryant, all that he said all of that and did all of that as she claimed. Yeah, but there was never even any justice. And remember, this was about a 14-year-old child. 14-year-old child. Now, even though she had admitted, even though she went as far as saying in an interview that, what was said against Emmett Till, what she said against Emmett Till, she went as far as saying it was a lie. She went as far as saying it being interviewed. There still, and she was still alive at that time, there was still never any justice. So you would think that, since white people, feel that they won. I even shared with you guys an interview where a white man from that time was saying that, a white man, young, his family knew the Bryants and everything. And he said himself he used to be part of the KKK, but he said they saw, like in the South in Mississippi, and they kind of saw, there were many white racists who saw the unalivers. I'm so tired of using these terms, these codes, talking in these codes for YouTube. They saw the unalivers of Emmett Till as heroes. Like they were kind of, and they even made money. Not only did they serve no time in jail, but they made money. From interviews, this and that. Yeah, so imagine they were paid to do books, and the people who unalived, they went as far as saying they were gonna make sure that boy would never see the sun come up. So you would think they would leave us, white folks would leave us alone. You would think they would leave us alone, being that they supposedly, as they may see it, won in that case. But no. They, just as they can't leave it alone with O.J. Simpson and respect the jury's decision, they can't leave it alone with this, because this is how spoiled they are. And then he has the audacity to try to make Carolyn Bryant into this victim, and to try to make white people go in to talk about white people being lynched, which had nothing to do with acts of racism. They were not lynched by lynched mobs, by white lynch mobs. It had nothing to do with us. But anyways, yeah. So, but I'm just seeing how much bolder and bolder they're getting it. Now, why is this? It's obvious that this guy is a plant. He is a media plant. That is obvious to me. How you doing, Azure TV? That's obvious to me that this guy's a media plant. Race beta, working for the powers, the wicked powers that be, that control the media. Although he wants to come off as if he's a voice of the people, of the poor, white people. But why would they make videos, when you can't deny that this guy was this kid was unjustly you can't try to justify that. You can't try to go into, first of all, his father wasn't even in his life. His father was separated from his mom from the time he was a baby. That has absolutely nothing to do with anything. Louis Till, his father, was abusive, and so was and so was Roy Bryant, who assisted in unaliving Emmett Till. He was also abusive to Carolyn Bryant. What that has to do with anything? But the reason why they're making such video, they got these plants in social media who are poking the bear, going as far as bringing up cases like the Emmett Till case, trying to say that it was a hoax. And yet he can't say he can't really say what was being lied about. He can't say that this brutal act did not happen to a 14-year-old child. But why are they doing this? Because they're trying to, it's like they're trying to get white people back in a certain mind state. First, by, as they've always done throughout history, like with the Native Americans, every group of people. You remember the Michael Moore documentary, Bowling for Columbine, and he had the little skit about the history of white, it was a little cartoon sketch, or sketch on white people in America, or, like the Foundation of America, and everything they did seemed to be influenced, provoked by fear, their so-called fear. Oh, we're so afraid of natives. Oh, we're so afraid of the black. Oh, we're so afraid of the natives. Oh, we're so afraid of the British. Oh, we're so afraid of the black people. Everything. We're so afraid of the slaves, right? Everything they did. It was influenced. It was provoked by fear. They're supposedly by them feeling like they're victims. See, and that's the first thing that people do, just like with a lot of these little cults up in here. I'm talking about amongst black people even. You got to first, play on people's fears, make people into victims. That's how they get people. That's how they get people. That's how they were able with Jonestown. Play on people's fears. Pretend to be a sympathizer or empathizer even. Yeah, that's what you got to first do. And see, what's going on now, first, we got to make white people into victims. And now, and point out little things, like find little reports, little random reports. If you got to scour all over of, let's say, a black person committing a crime against white people, it may not even be racially motivated, but you have to make it into that, and you got to focus, you got to zoom in on that. And you got to magnify it. You got to exaggerate things, lie about statistics and information, or give misinformation about statistics and information. And then you got to desensitize the people. Now, how do you desensitize the people? Hey, Penisoy. Oh, no, I haven't watched another video. It messed up my day the rest of the evening. I was okay. In fact, what's ironic, I got up, my husband asked me, I'm laying next to my husband, are you happy? I was like, yeah, I'm next to you. That's, are you happy? And it was really it was really, I just, I wanted to just respond to that comment, but other than that, if you notice, even when I was responding to that comment in my live stream, responding to the comment about, the live stream I did about don't use love as your excuse, you could tell that I was, still not in that serious of a mood that I could like kind of laugh. I was like, let me just respond to this. But I was but then when I started, like as I was setting up the live stream, me seeing this video, it just got me like, yeah, like what. I'm not saying why am I surprised. As y'all know the story, I've been in social media from the year 2000. 2000, around 2001, 2002 for sure. I've been in the message forums, Rashid for you, same name and everything. And I came into YouTube, did my first video in December 2008. And that was especially after experience going to college. My first video, Black women are not the enemy, because of what I was witnessing when I went back to college with a younger group of people where I met my husband. And then I realized they were being influenced by YouTube. Now, I had discovered YouTube around 2007, but I was mainly looking at people were uploading old school music videos, like from the 80s and stuff that I didn't even know existed, because they weren't played on MTV, like by Black artists. That's how I came into YouTube. And I noticed there were other like silly videos and stuff. Cat, like cat getting slapped with cheese or flushing toilets or squirrels riding jet ski, little stuff like that. But then I realized after going back to college with a young group of people, like I realized that something is influencing it. Yeah, they showed me a video, Black women are the enemy, Black women dropped the ball, and I realized that there were certain personalities, becoming a little popular underground in social media, like Sergeant Willie. This is before Tommy Sotomayor, I always hear, of course. And I realized I was noticing this like gender debating between Black males and Black females in my college. And it wasn't like that when I initially went to college in the 90s, when we'd have discussions in the student lounge on race relations. It was kind of a us versus them. Like, it's funny how I've been saying that for years, even before you had this Not Like Us, and all these movies, us, them. But I was saying that this was something I noticed. Like, and we were talking about racism. It was like, it was so clear, white versus Black. That the white racism, the white man or whatever, even if it's not necessarily, specifically white man, but white racism was obviously the enemy when I went to college initially in the 90s, right? We understood it was white racism. Okay, that was the bad guy, right? But I'm going back to college. I'm noticing that there were a lot of these, and with the people, most of them younger than myself, I was noticing that there were a lot of, every time, even if we talked about, let's say, white racism, somehow I was noticing with younger students, fellow students, that it would get back to, somehow it would turn into Black male versus Black female. And usually it'd be Black men who would be initiating this issue with Black women. And like, how did it? And I was noticing that every single time, like, what is going on? And yeah, and me being a little older and kind of a little boggled. I know we got our issues, Black men and Black women. Okay, I'm a Gen Xer. But yeah. But I was like, let me move this damn face. But it kind of had me like boggled. So I'm like, why is everything turning into this like gender? What is this issue? I know it's a hard time. I know we got some issues. And it wasn't just like a thing of like what I may have been used to, like, let's say us having fun gunning on each other, like a Pam versus Martin, or Martin versus Pam. And I'm not saying that we, you know what I'm saying. It wasn't like that, but it was getting serious. Like, and even in that, I understand why there are people who don't feel that we should, be doing that any longer. But it was like, yeah, so it just kind of had me like, what is going on? Like, what's this? Why Black men so angry at Black women? Like, what's going on? Why is everything always, turning into this? Well, see, it's Black women, this and that. And Black, and then, oh yeah, when the whole thing initially with R. Kelly, and I'm in Chicago, but some of these people who went to this college weren't necessarily from Chicago. Some of them, yeah, they may have been from outside Chicago. But anyways, when And I know, like, I love my city. I ain't feel we got a. Now I ain't gonna say we were up in there talking about colorism and all that, because I didn't feel that was a problem really in my city like that. But anyways, yeah. So I just like, what is this tension about? You know what I'm saying? And then when a young brother showed me a video, but it was by a black woman. I showed y'all that video that became, yeah, it was that black women drop the ball video that you can still find up in here. And what's interesting is that very same female, she straight up flipped. People don't know that, but her video is still very popular. But they love that video, and it was, yeah. And that's when they showed me that. That's when I had to, like, okay, let me take advantage of this YouTube platform. I had just been in the message forums, and I just, in responding to her, so I guess you could say I was responding to what some people would now call Mammy Mule, but I wasn't offended. It wasn't her that was offending me. You know, she was making some good points. You know, we should expect our natural hair and we should support our man. You know, she's making, it was just the fact he's saying that we are the enemy. Like, wait a minute, not white racism, not the devil even. But we, black women, we are we the devil, like we the cause of, I was like, hold up. Like, so I addressed her very respectfully, like, you know, and she was a lovely looking young woman, had her hair natural and everything. I was still rocking the weave at the time. Yeah, and I was like, just be careful in what you're saying. I was like, I can hear you on the things that you're saying. Like, basically, I was saying, yeah, you can tell us on the things we need to, but just be careful. That's basically all I was saying. You know, but I noticed there was quite a few of these videos, you know, when, you know, you click. Yeah, I noticed there were quite a few people responding. And back then we had a fair chance to be seen and heard and respond, you know? Back then they would let, like, you see all the people who responded to her video. And in the midst of that, you know how it used to be set up in YouTube. Like, if they responded, they would put underneath her video all the videos that responded to her video. You remember how it used to be? Yeah. And of course I eventually became one of them. But yeah, so that allowed me to see, like, these other personalities, like Sergeant Willie P. There was no Tommy up in here. And I saw this guy. I listened to some of his videos and this stuff. I could agree with some of what he's saying. Very good speaker. But then, you know, I realized it was excessive. And it was pretty much, he was saying pretty much the same things over and over and over again about black women. It was like, okay, like, yeah, it's like you can take it in, but when you see that this is being said over and over and over again, like this is like, even on just hair weaves alone, like, I didn't know that hair weaves was that much of an issue with the black. Like, goodness gracious. Yeah. Yeah, it was like, yeah, it's interesting that you're saying this Peninsula, because it's like you're saying that Sergeant Willie P, focused on both white racism and black women. Well, right, he made it like it was one. I'm glad you pointed that out, because it was like there was this beginning to be this shift. Like, the white man is not the enemy. Really, the black woman, she is now the man. She is the one who said, it was like it was becoming one. Like why it, like, when I talk about the whole Oprah narrative, like, as if white racism, like white men and black women, like, they're working together. Yeah, they even went as far, like, they're working together, like, to keep the black man down. And yeah, this was becoming, and just like I said, that's why I had to address and debunk certain things, because I was also seeing this kind of rewriting of history, like this idea that black women in general linked up with black feminists, and they weren't even quite yet talking on that tip yet. Initially, it was really just, it started like talking about weaves and the so-called self-hate of black women. Like, I'm telling you, initially, it was so many videos about black women and weaves. I was like, dang. But yeah, it was like, and it had me like, okay, I realized that because before then, I just saw myself as black, right? That's how I was raised, pro black. I was just black. But then I come to YouTube, and I thought we all black. Like I was like, I didn't put my gender first. I didn't put it because the way I was raised is that you're black first. That's what you're gonna be reminded first in this country, in this world. You're black first before you're a woman or any of that, right? That's how with many black women. But I come to YouTube world. It was only in YouTube world. Now it wasn't no white feminist. It wasn't no it's like I said. I noticed they lie and exaggerate about black women and being our involvement with white feminists. That is a total exaggeration. In some cases, they're just straight lying about things. Okay, of course, there's always going to be some. There's always going to be one. There's always going to be somebody who's down with that. But for the most part, absolutely not. They know that their mamas and their sisters, their aunties wasn't involved with no white feminists and all of that. For the folks, just like what even Michelle Wallace herself, the black feminist who was with Gloria Steinem, the young black woman, Ms. Magazine, with her article, she even said back in the, and this was by the early 80s, she said that she felt alone as a black feminist. She said she felt alone because black women wasn't, they saw it as whitey's thing. She said black women would cast pitying eyes upon her. Like I said, the ones that were down with them white feminists, like, going back to the 70s, and, the ones who were down with them, they were down with them white women for the same reason you had black men who were down with them white feminists or white women, white liberals or whatever. They were sleeping with them. Even this white feminist who have been, Winifred Grimes herself, who have been involved in, over 50 years, she even said herself that, usually the women that would link up with them were the ones who, as she kind of put it, they were queer. She didn't use those words, but she said, or they were in the process of coming out the closet. And I'm not saying that's every single case, but like in the case of the Combahee River Collective, which was a very, of black women feminists, they were very by themselves pretty much. Because I remember how my mama she just saw feminists, she just wrote them off as lesbian or black women. For the most part, they saw that as quote unquote whitey's thing. Black women, I don't care what time of day I strain. Okay, give me a second, y'all. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Can you hear me? Please press one if you can hear me loud enough, clear enough. What? Really? He's a writer? That's a funny thing. He has 3 books on black matriarchy and 1 book on. And the funny thing is, what's interesting, I never saw, he's one person I never saw as like an agent or plant. I never saw. But now that, ever since one of y'all told me that he's kind of on that FBA leaning, like, really? That's interesting. I always just saw him as an individual. Well, I saw everybody up in here as individuals. I didn't see anybody. I didn't, suspect anybody, even though at the message forums I was beginning to question. But I did. It's funny that. Oh yeah, press 1 if you can hear me. I just need to know that the mic is back on. Yeah, but now I'm kind of looking back. Who knew? You never know. Some of them people back then who I may have just thought were underground individuals. You never know what seeds were planted in social media. But I do know that some of these were individuals because I know somebody who I was at that college with. The young man of a man, somewhat younger than myself, as most of them were. But I realized, that it was guys, of more so my generation that was actually it had more of the influence. But yeah, it was a young man. I know, he may still have a channel up in here, but I went to college with this guy. I mean, I was at the college with this guy. He was one of them. I still love him. He might still be subscribed to my channel. And, I don't know how I do. Wait, I don't know. I think I'm mother. Yeah, let me see. I should look and see if he. But I think he even had like an interaction or something with Tariq Nasheed. But I know that he wasn't no plant or no agent. I know he was an individual. But I remember, he was Scott. He was my friend and everything, and we still cool with each other. Um, but I remember him. He's an artist and putting out some magazines. Initially it was all on the pro black tip and yeah, and I would even help people in the message forums. They probably remember I even would help try to promote his magazine. What he was trying to do. But then I noticed. I remember he had a magazine where he taught. Yeah, okay, and he did usually the art. Being he was an artist, the art for his magazine, and it had like on the cover like appeared to be a black woman with darker skin, but a blonde wig and blue contacts, and talking about how we, just addressing, the we need to embrace our natural hair. And I ain't see no big deal over that. I was like, okay, and I was still wearing weaves at the time. I was a weave queen. So I'm like, I ain't see nothing. Okay, yeah, we do. Because initially, like I've said before, initially I saw it as okay, maybe these brothers, they now want to see natural hair. Like I was like thinking it's a good thing, even though I'm still wearing weaves. I was like, maybe they really like our natural hair now, finally. Because I know when I was in high school and hell no, you couldn't wear your hair natural. Not in the 80s, not, and not in the early 90s either. Shoot. And I started school late 70s, And even still, like my mama sending me to school with afros or what we used to call natural, when I'm like 5 years old with such a mature hairstyle and stuff, because my mama didn't really know how to do that. I know even then, this is like late 70s, Yeah, so I was like, oh, great. It's going to be easier for these younger girls because it seemed to me like, I thought it was like a kind of Afrocentric mindset. I thought it was, I really thought, they now want to see us go natural. But then I was like, wait a minute. If that's how they talking, then that's what I should be seeing, right? Like you got Chris Rock putting out this good hair documentary. Okay, but your wife still got pounds of weave in her hair. What you talking about ain't matching up with what I'm seeing you with, or what you choosing, or what you claiming is your preference. At least in Hollywood and even in real life, because there was more than enough sisters going that began going natural. So it ain't like they didn't have sisters when they had natural that and then at the same time you got them saying they want to sisters that's natural. Then you got people like even Method Man claiming that they don't like peasy afros. Young Berg saying lit jabs about if you need brown gel to lay down your edges, you ain't popping, and all these little jabs. Like wait, this is getting confusing. Kind of like what I was talking about. How 1 minute in the 90s you hearing oh yeah, and always let me know. I know ain't many people up in here, but if you ever want to join the panel, just let me know. I don't be knowing, it's been years really since I regularly had people on panels like that, besides maybe Garwin, a few people. But yeah, because I'm just casually talking now. But yeah, like how they was. It's funny they talk about women being black women. They don't apparently they miss independent. They don't need a man. They can make their own money. They don't need nobody to get in. I was like, but wait a minute. When I was in high school, there was a lot of songs like in hip hop calling sisters skeezers and gold diggers and taunting black women for supposedly being too dependent on men, or being, you know what I'm saying, using men for money, this and that. That is what led to, and also you had black women being taunted like by the Reagan administration, and as being welfare queens, and whether she's dependent on the white man's government or she's dependent on a black man's money or whatever. Black women were being taunted. So then next thing you know, you had black women like rappers Salt-N-Pepa, Oaktown 357, it's not your money, not your money. Salt-N-Pepa, I am independent, I make my own money, don't tell me how to spend it. The group Black Girl, I'm a 90s girl, I can make it on my own. That's where a lot of that I'm independent rhetoric, at least definitely in music and stuff, started. Yeah, it was like a response to black women being told, although we've been working outside of the home, definitely by percent more than white women, going back to like perhaps World War II. Definitely by the 80s, by percent. But we were still being taunted as welfare queens and just want men for their money and all that. So that's how like this is getting very confusing. 1 minute black women are being taunted. Yeah, see, I'm a little older. Yeah, no, but yeah, and Young Berg, I can't even listen to. He's not even of my genre to be listening to. It's not even of my genre of hip hop for me to even be paying attention to. I just remember these things going viral. Black women, feeling a little hurt by it, responding, and I felt it was my duty to also respond, being that this stuff already went viral. But I realized that nothing's going viral coincidentally. And it was World Star. Now we got a whole bunch of little sites, but World Star, oh my goodness. That was the thing. You also had this Medium World Star. That had to be the worst. And another one. I'm so glad my husband stopped looking at, media fake out, as I call it. That was another one. Just picking at stuff. Yeah, it's not about. I don't even care about I don't care about no Young Berg, and he from Illinois. Dude ain't even Chicago like that. He like Schomburg. You always got these fools that want to claim the shot, like a certain exotical affiliate. Can't stand when people do that, and it's but it's the fact that it was enough to cause black women to feel a certain ways, perhaps younger. And that was the thing too. Like they were targeting millennials, especially. And so it's no surprise you later get these millennials like Cynthia G and up in here. It's like they just like how they use television to kind of brainwash the baby boomer generation. It was like with this social media, they really like and because I noticed like in my college, like a lot of I wouldn't be involved usually in the arguments, but I would find myself being the mediator, trying to, and my nickname, like I said, was Granny because they found I was older than them. Thank you, Marty Marr. Why you acting like this is your first time seeing this picture? This is my concerned face. But how you doing, bro? This is my concerned face. This is my passionate face. I like to put on a happy face, but I got mad seeing that yesterday. So I found myself like, what the heck is going on? But I realized that, okay, there are people in social media influencing a lot of these younger brothers, I realized that. Mm-hmm. And also, this is the face too when I was addressing, like the golden state. Oh boy. I was actually taking these pictures. This is my first, yeah, because I never really put on red lipsticks or purple lipsticks or maroon lipsticks or lipsticks that, with a lot of color. So I was deciding to, all these years, decided to try on different lipsticks that are just not just glosses. I never really, yeah. So this is my first time. It was my first time buying makeup, like at I know it sounds at Ulta, and getting something that costs a little more money. So with these pictures, yeah, I was trying on. Actually, I was in my gown and everything. I was trying on different lipsticks. So I was like, okay, I can rock this. Um, but this ended up being the face of me addressing, yeah, my concerned face. I'd like to go back to the happy face, but right now, um, yeah, as much as I want to chill up in here sometimes, to chill with y'all, I'm telling you, it just, but yeah, I can't believe I'm still up in here addressing this stuff. I cannot believe that this is crazier than ever now. Yeah, and I was like, so in a sense, I was trying to be a medium in a sense, not in the sense of sorcery or witchcraft, but like when I was at the college, it was just my intention for us to come together. But of course, I have to speak more from a black female perspective because that's what I am. I can't, I want brothers and sisters to come together, but I have to, I had to first and foremost speak on behalf of black women because that's, I'm better able to explain on behalf of black women as a black woman, talk about the weaves and the things that a brother perhaps could not quite understand. Just like there's certain things that black men, like they could speak on, like that we may not be able to really fully understand. We could try to speak in support of our brothers, but there are certain things that just they are going to be better able to speak on, especially in defense of themselves, and in support of themselves and what they do or what they may do, whether you see it as right or wrong. And so I had to come, more on that tip, especially when I saw what I was actually seeing when I went back to the college. It was usually, and I'm just keeping it real, the black men who would be initiating these little, almost like they don't want to talk about race or anything else. They want, like, as if they are irking to get this message to black women. Like, and I'm like, I know, and you gotta understand, I had been in the workplace and me going back to college. It took, it was already kind of, I wouldn't say difficult, but I had went back to college. So I was in a younger new, and I had not been around people like younger than myself. Do you understand what I'm saying? I just been in the work world. So I'm now with some people. I end up meeting my husband who's younger than myself. But yeah, so I had to kind of adjust as was, styles. Like I remember first coming to that college, I'm wearing a suit because I'm so used to what I need to wear at work. Yeah. And so I had to get with my clothes and all of that. Yeah, I remember he was a gay. I think he's like, sound like a gay dude. He's like, I wish she had cut hair. So I was like, oh, let me, it's still my style, but I was like, I got to remind myself, I'm not at work, I'm not at the office. So, so I was already trying to, adjust to an audience, environment with people younger, black people, but black people younger than myself. So that was already, but I saw the conversation was hella different. And I had been, so it ain't like I wasn't up on social media because actually it was a lot of the people in my generation who got social media popping. But we were like more so at the message forums. Now, the younger people, they were like at MySpace, definitely like my daughter and stuff, who was like a teen at that time. They were like at MySpace. Yeah, that's where I remember the younger people, including a lot of the millennials. Who knew that would be like no longer? But a lot of us older people, it would be like people my age. And that's what was funny. Back then, I was younger, kind of one of the younger people. As a Gen Xer, born in the early to mid 70s, I was kind of younger. Because there were a lot of the people, they were Gen Xers. Usually, most of them were older than myself. And maybe late baby boomers. But for the most part, Gen Xers, that was typically maybe a little older than myself. And like, my brother Garwin, who's like I believe late baby boomer, he was up in, some of the people Juicy Fruity, older than myself. So I was kind of one of the younger ones. But you gotta understand, we was ones getting social media popping. But see, we would be at the message forums, and I know y'all heard this story a million times, but we were talking about everything. In fact, we would always go to, even though there was like for instance at BET.com and AOL Black Voices, they would give us different categories, just be from supposedly a Black perspective. If you wanted to talk about religion, if you wanted to talk about television, if you wanted to talk about the news, politics, this and that, and everybody would go to the entertainment. That's where everybody would go, and we talk about everything in the entertainment, whether it be politics. We just all stay, because I guess we just wanted to stay in the same section. Okay. So we'd just be and that was the same thing at BET.com and at AOL Black Voices. It was the same thing. We'd go, just all of us go to the entertainment. And so we talked about everything. We didn't just talk about the same old. We sure wasn't just focused on no gender war. But I did notice, and I've told y'all this a million times, I did notice around the year 2008. Now, understand, I've been definitely in these forums since like 2002. But around 2008, I did notice there just seemed to be a little more, there was these certain personalities, mostly male, but also some females. They stopped with the gender war. Like I said, there'd be somebody, Black women ain't shit. So then the Black women who are, and this would be a person we never seen before. And then so the Black women like, well, y'all niggas ain't shit. And next thing it'll be back and forth. And then that person who started it, the topic, they disappear. And it just got this back and forth going with people and I noticed there was a certain name, Speak the Real. Hold on, we gotta go. I know I talked about this a million times, but hold on. Wait. Hold on. What am I talking about here? Oh, okay. Speak the Real. Let me switch it to my other channel. Speak the Real. Yeah, this person was not with us. He was not a regular at the message forum, AOL Black Voice. Around 2008, this person started popping up, Speak the Real. And then I noticed when I discovered YouTube when I discovered what brothers was listening to in YouTube, I found out this guy got a channel in YouTube. Now I am beginning to wonder if that guy was let me see. I think I showed y'all, because you may see some remnants. Forgive me for bringing y'all to this. You may see some remnants of his old stuff. Oh, see, look, see this stuff? Notice how long ago it was. I found some, or at least people responded. And notice how y'all don't even know who Speak the Real is, do you? I don't even think Pencil. I bet you don't even know who Speak the Real. Yeah, these are the early people. This person came into you see, back then, this is when you would put RE in front of it as a response video, and they show you what was responding. See? Respond. Why do Black women give a damn? Yeah. Now I see there's a lot of videos with people responding to Speak the Real. You see this? Yeah. See all the people. That's how we used to do. You respond. Oh yeah, this was another one, the pink elephant. Yeah, Sergeant Willie. Look, somebody made a video. Sergeant Willie P and Speak the Real. Hate speech and manipulation on YouTube. This is now. What year is this? And this is back when we could do these videos where, because we figured that people watched the videos and weren't just listening. Because before these phones or everybody had all these phones, so you could just do a video like with just words and expecting that people would read it. 17 years. Let me get the exact date. Bam! 2008. What the hell was going on in 2008, especially late 2008? That's why I did my video December 2008. It's like it all was happening at one time. Now, okay, back then I really did see it as individuals. And even my friend, remember I told you, who was selling the magazines and stuff? First he was all on the pro-black tip. Then next thing you know, yeah, it started. He had the magazine talking about, we need to accept our hair as black women. And I didn't think nothing of it. I was like I said, I thought, oh, this is great. Brothers is now letting it be known that this is how they want to see black women and with our natural. I thought it was, this was all real because I thought it was a good thing at first. I was like, well, this is going to be better for these younger females because it wasn't like that when I was in. Even if you look in the 90s, with Martin, the BDB jokes, you had to, you were expected to straighten out your naps, Plus, like I said, late 90s, Lauryn Hill. So I thought maybe we going in a, maybe brothers letting it be known that they prefer, but it wasn't really about what they preferred or just what they hate. It was more so about what they supposedly hate. You said queen, older black lady queen, somebody. Yeah, I'm trying to remember certain personalities. Yeah, so people back then were pointing out, even before I came up in here, that there's something going on YouTube. Now, we didn't notice it at the message forums like that because we had our regulars. But I did notice it was these people who were not regulars. Because usually at the message forum, it's like we kind of knew or thought we knew everybody. Even some of these people we met up with in real life. I know I met up with some people in Chicago, the Bud Billiken Parade. Because back then, you still have people using their names and stuff. Their first and last name. You still have people sharing pictures of their family and their baby. Still just like how you look in Facebook, you have people putting their first and last name because there was a time when you still have people names like you could easily find in the white pages. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it was crazy. People, we just wasn't really thinking of it that seriously. Like we had something to hide. Like we had all these secrets and stuff now, Yeah, of course you had to be cautious and it would be better to use like alias. Or, me, I was just thinking something like hip hop, my name. But yeah, but back then, you wasn't as afraid to show your face, or you just, couldn't, or if you couldn't, but when we were able to share pictures and more easily and stuff, we did, and we could talk about what city we lived with, and yeah, but I just know, so most of us at BET.com, we were kind of, or AOL Black Voices, that's where I was now. Because BET.com, they shut it down and came back stupid. But so I was at primarily AOL Black Voices. There was only people I can remember, Garwin, Juicy Fruity. Those are only, there's a few people here and there who may stop and, oh, Lashid, I remember you from, I can't say that I remember them, but those are the only people and Juicy Fruity, she be worrying me because she'll just pop up and disappear. And I just be always wanting to hear about how, especially after her sharing some medical stuff. So where you at, Juicy Fruity? If y'all seen her, let me know so I can know she all right. But yeah, but so we pretty much were familiar with the usernames that would be up in there, whether we liked them, disliked them, disagree with them, even those who may have been kind of on the raccoon tip, we still were familiar with. But then all of a sudden, these people that we did not know, we were not familiar with, and they were like kind of new, and Speak the Real was one of them. And I remember that, and then so it just only wanted to talk about black women on a negative tip. Only wanted to talk. And then you had these trolls that were supposedly black women. Now they had been around for a bit. Napolonia loved them white boys. So imagine you got at a black message forum somebody who's supposedly a black woman. And they got this in their signature or their avatar. They would have this painting of a white man embracing a black woman. I'm like, why are y'all at predominantly black? Why are y'all? What is with this trolling? What's up with this? You say only, yeah. Oh, really? When only college students were on Facebook? Really? Facebook, I kind of discovered just a little later. I always thought Facebook like where you can find the older black, like even older black people. um, yeah. But this Speak the Real. So can you imagine when I discovered that this Speak the Real? Oh, this guy got a channel in YouTube. So he's kind of become a little popular in YouTube. This guy that decided to come as if he was on this mission to go through social media. But it's funny, he just disappeared. He faded. There was also, let me see this, Avenue Rants, Dan Freeman. Now, he was a person I had confront because he had a video just like with Speak the Real, would black women give a damn? Would black women give Kim Kardashian was black? And I'm like, look, you know, so I did a 2-part series and sharing some stuff on Kim Kardashian also that people didn't know, like her husband, even before Kanye and stuff. There's a lot of stuff that people don't know. But I had what I explained is, you know, I pretty much summed up in the video, like in the video series, you know, and it was only, each video was like 10 minutes back then. But I said, you know, be glad that there are black women who still give up. You know, it's when black women don't give a fuck no more. That's when you get worried. And I remember what was really crazy when a black woman posted to me. Yeah, she said, you know what? That's the point I'm at. I don't give a fuck no more. And I was like, well, damn. I don't know. That kind of scared me. Like, yeah, that's something. You know, the way that the post it read off to me, almost like I could hear her voice. And she's like, that's the point I'm at. I don't give a fuck no more. I was like, oh, you know, it was kind of scary. Like, what is to come, right? And that's the thing too. Some of this yeah, you don't want to get where it's to the point where black women are. Like, I'm seeing this video, and okay, not that long ago, I'm looking at this video, and I could believe I saw, I guess what's supposed to be a black man posting, you know, I'm thinking about getting with white women now. And I'm like, are y'all still doing it? It's like now here it's laughable. You know, like y'all still thinking that this is, because like, have I become desensitized? But like that's kind of played out now. Like so a couple of years ago, you probably would have got a whole bunch of responses from black women. Well, forget you, we don't need you. And I think that's what it is too. A lot of times people are provoking because they want to see if you still give a. But you don't want to get people to a point where they don't care no more. I mean, that's kind of, I know some people say that's a good thing, but we need to get to that point where we're just so desensitized to it and we're so used to seeing it. But I don't know, it's just, I'm like looking at the post, like, is he really thinking like, you know, are they still doing this little stuff, trying to hurt people's feelings or whatever they try to do? But yeah, but see, that's the thing. Get you to a point where you're desensitized to the point where it really don't matter to you. Your feelings aren't hurt anymore, or you're just not. You're numb to it, or you just could care less, or where you could just laugh about it now. That's the point. And see, I was what I was doing. I was trying to, you know, like Warren Brothers, like, nah. I'm not saying that it's a good thing if we're giving a damn about Kanye West like that in his relationship like that. I'm saying just black women still, the fact you still got black women who are still concerned or just, you know, even voicing like what you may see as just us not minding, you know, even in us voicing our disapproval or just expressing that we want to see black men and black women together. But like I said, when it gets to that point, even though we all say mind your business, this and that, but when that's where it really gets, you know, when it gets to that point where we are just minding our business and don't, not just minding our business, but don't give a damn, to the point where we are now desensitized to it. And that's been the goal. That has been the goal. And while some, you know, they don't get with all this poking at black women, you know, it's gonna, because you see, like black women, all the weaves, we will make songs talking about patting our weaves. We will talk about our weaves and all that stuff. Yeah, but you see here, okay, what does it say? Manipulators will always tell you if you do not agree with me, something bad is going to happen and it will be all your fault. Sarge, what it says? Sergeant Willie P has done this many times. Go and watch his video. Black men should stop complaining about black women. That what? That's rich. Well, kind of even, yeah. But the funny, like I said, and I've told this story many times, but it's not a story that's really, happened. Yeah, I came in here, so I did my first video, just seeing the atmosphere of social media and realizing that social media was having influence on these young brothers because what had happened, being that I was granny at the college and I was kind of the mediator, young brothers would, they liked me. They came to me and they, like one had showed me that video, black women drop the ball. Yeah, when he had showed me the video, thinking, yeah, this video here, when he showed me this video, the one on top, okay, let me see what exact is Delilah. Trust me, all that stuff that she was talking. Yeah, so I guess this was earlier in the year. I had not known about this video. March 2008. So when he showed me this, yeah, and you see now it's over 250,000 views. Yeah, so you see all the comments, they were loving this video. And it wasn't all that harsh, but still, just the black women. Yeah, when he showed me, and I guess he felt I would like the video, like I would approve of the video, like listen to this sister, she really on point. But I was like, wait a minute, I know you, I didn't say that to him, but I was like, I'm thinking after listening to it, like I know he expect me to be totally co-signing, but I can't totally co-sign it because she starts off saying, yes, we are the enemy. Yes, I was like, wait a minute. And then it it's not that I was disagreeing with, what she was saying on how we need to be more supportive and need to accept our natural hair, blah, 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 blah. It's not that. It's just this whole idea we are the enemy. You understand what I'm saying? That's very powerful. So that's when I had did, it was December 2008, my first video. But just, I'm telling you, the way that things were getting tense, I've talked about this many times in the student lounge, the way that things were getting so very tense in the student lounge discussions, and I began to realize that you had young men who were being influenced by social media, just like I witnessed with my friend. He was on the pro-black tip, and I know he was no agent or nothing like that. But he was, and understand also he had a article in his little magazine that he'd be selling, like downtown Chicago. He had a little article, myths, that black people, myths that black people need to realize are myths, something like that. And one of the things he listed, like myth number 10, Africans hate you. Remember that, y'all. He had the list, Africans hate you. But yeah, anyways, I just noticed, first it started with that article, but then next thing you know, he just started repeating a lot of this rhetoric, just also with the in the student lounge, getting into these debates with black females, Now, one thing that he disagreed with me on, because I did have certain friends that, that's understand. I was in merchandising, man. I was doing fashion design and stuff. I had certain gay male friend. He was disgusted with that. He just, and my friend who was gay happened to come, yes, me of all people. And, that's why I could talk it. Oh, Tyra Banks, and see what but you guys said I was in fashion merchandising manager. I didn't hang with gays like that, where he would be straight up disgusted. But yeah, anyways, and I was just noticing he getting more serious. I mean, he was always serious, and I'm like, relax, dude. And also, it didn't help that I think he had some issues with his girl. So at the same time, he was having some issues with his personal life. He's seeing these videos. He's a young man, and this is just the issues with one individual female. Okay, this is not, and I don't even think it was all that serious. But he was, having issues with his girlfriend or had an issue. So it was getting more, and I'm noticing more and more that, yeah, like, he might be listening to me. And I remember him telling, yeah, he was telling me after I started doing my videos, he preferred my videos before they got more polished. He actually, he still listened to my videos, my messages. He said he preferred my video when I was just talking to the camera for 10. He preferred, when I decided to get a little more polished with my videos, whereas now I'm not polished at all. But yeah. This person, he had an interaction with Tariq Nasheed and Moorish World, ironic. But anyways, yeah. So I remember I told him, I was like, when I was looking through YouTube and analyzing, okay, I see that there's more going on in YouTube world than just music videos and cats flushing toilets. Like there's a little underground thing happening here, with certain individual Black YouTubers. Although I don't think we had any circles or sectors yet. It seemed to me to be individuals responding. The first, I guess you could say, Black sector I saw in YouTube, where it's like a circle of Black people or whatever, or a sector of Black people grouped together, and you're regularly seeing them. It was TRS, something called TRS, I think. That was the first, like, kind of, I don't know, what did the TRS stand for? It was something like that. That was like the first sector I think I witnessed. Yeah, anything you want to correct me on, Pentazoid, you can, or add to it. Right. We was right, exactly. YouTube world, we wasn't really in YouTube world like that yet, but but it had began, because YouTube was initially, for white people want to talk about Janet Jackson nipple or just, well, so we were slowly coming in here, and I just came in here because I thought it was music videos and stuff. I was like, oh wow, like how you getting these videos uploaded like this? Like how are they taking this from like they VHS to? So I was like I said, I didn't know Gap Band had a video for this. So that's what I was, because music. And that's what usually our discussions in the message forums, for the most part, we'd be talking music, and even though, I was known as the more pro-Black personality, I would be coming from a more pro-Black perspective on things. But for the most part, we'd be talking about the reality shows at the time and music, and just, of course, things got serious with the Sean Bell. And so, of course, we had to discuss that. But I was realizing like something is going on, and I saw how social media was, or particularly YouTube. Who knew that this would become my home or whatever in social media? Who knew? So I just came on that to, like maybe I can. And another thing that they were talking about, Black women preferring thugs, and so I did a video, Thug Love. What's that about? Just trying to explain things from a female perspective to give them perhaps give an understanding. Of course, I can't speak for every Black female, but to give a better understanding what that might be about. And I noticed that was a video. At least there were those who heard me on the Black women are not the enemy. But then the Thug Love video, that was the first video where there was just a little Black male resistance. Like, will y'all listen? Listen to what's being said. Maybe if you listen, nobody's saying that women should be with thugs. I'm trying to explain to you what that might be about. But it was kind of a split, a little resistance with that. A lot of responses. And these videos at that time blew up because it ain't like you had a million people with a million channels up in here, right? So people could focus on your video. And not to mention, there wasn't this whole algorithm thing happening. There wasn't this, selective promotion in YouTube. It seemed like it was a fair playing, an even fair, playing field where everybody could see your videos if they wanted to. If this is what they sought in YouTube, then this is what they would find. Whereas now it seems like YouTube, they're going to promote what they want you to see. So I was able to get a good amount of views. Now, the first time me really receiving hate is when it was from white men. Black women with white men is nothing new. Now I was just, because there was the movie Something New, and it was a book I was reading at that time. But I would address on, but yeah. So my hopes was like, yeah, with the things that the narratives, yeah, they were coming with, but it had got so ugly. It was getting really ugly, and it's just like I kind of knew something was coming. There was some, because back then in YouTube, it wasn't really censored. Like I just found something recently, that, looking at one of my old videos, and I was responding to something with Tommy talking about Emmett Till, and he just had in the title of his video calling black people niggly bears. Remember, he would, yeah, you could just say Nigger in the title of the video. It was really out of control. Yeah, so you could say whatever you wanted also against black women. Just like Tommy, see that he came later though. So they was making videos like why black women's coochie stink more. It was just really, really just mean stuff. And at the same time, I was noticing they were trying to pull it. But the good thing is that the message form, at least we could have moderators. There was more, a little more closer moderation. And even that got out of control though. But where we could get rid of, yeah, because like there was a black person, and it was around that same time, 2008, came over there, made a video, somebody we never seen before. Ooh, black women, can y'all do this? And it showed a white woman twerking. I guess what they call a woody, a white girl with a booty twerking. And so then black women responded from the message, well, black men, can they do this and get a job? They, showing somebody getting a job and somebody, and then it was little shit like that. And then it started this back and forth, like this provoking these people out of where they come from. When we just talking about the episode of Fifth Act. We just talking about, what I'm saying? What happened on the BET Awards, and they just coming out of the blue, just talking about bullshit, and trying to get us, provoke us. And I'm not gonna lie, there are some cases where we did catch exposed that some people were white trolls. And that's what I did also begin to believe, especially after this one person being exposed. Like there are some people I'm still convinced is Tickety Two and were white trolls. And and some people we were able to expose. And so that's also what I begin to think also with YouTube. These must be white trolls. I still think that Nat Turner is alive. I still believe that was a white troll. That Nat Turner, yeah, they'll have like names really, really Afrocentric or really, you know what I'm saying? Like who is the one troll? Yeah, to like deceive you, or they'll overtly they'll use. This was one thing too that indicated that they were trolls. They were white trolls. They'll like one thing they always have. I am black. That's one thing I noticed. I'm black, and I agree with you. Whenever they post that right there is a red flag. But one thing they would like be posted like in broken English, ain't got no weapon. But then they'd be using terms that black folks didn't really use, like she-boon and stuff like that. Stuff that but then what was surprising, you end up finding out that some of these people are black. Indeed, and many of them indeed black. That's what would really be like the shocker. But anyways, I'm seeing people change. Now, what's interesting is my friend also eventually got on. Now, remember, I said my friend that was with the magazine. I'm noticing that he too, being that he began following Tariq Nasheed. Now, remember what I said with this magazine when you talking about myths that black people need to know, the important myths that we need to realize are myths. One thing he put, Africans hate you, like saying that it's a myth. He was basically sending the message, stop believing that Africans hate you. Well, this very same friend of mine, I'm noticing, and in a way, I wish he was listening. I wish he was still listening to me, because I had noticed a couple of years ago that 2 years ago that he is on talking, on that FBA tip. All right. So this just goes showing this is a very intelligent, highly talented brother. Highly intelligent, very wise Black history, African history, and all of that. And I know that he's not some plant agent. I know that. So this just goes to show that if somebody like this brother can be, and yeah, okay, sometimes we can change our minds on things. We're grown-ups, right? We're adults. But usually, like these social media people, But I can't say that at least he's not up in here spreading a whole bunch of rhetoric like that's his focus. But I'm saying is, yeah, and like I said, it got serious. It got serious because only months after I first made my first video, because I was just seeing how I was like, what is going on? Why is black men? What is with all this animosity? They would use every excuse. Yeah, so they had to have a reasoning for it. Well, black women for years were talking about us in books. Or I'm like, what are you talking about? Yeah, just as like it could be, an author talking about who may have herself have been sexually abused as a child, and they'll take that. Yeah, we had Terry McMillans, and we've had Toni. I wouldn't put Toni Morrison in the same category as a Terry McMillan, but you've also had Iceberg Slim. So I'm like, what you talking about? Yeah, you had Color Purple, Waiting to Excel. Those are how many movies within 20 years y'all talking about? How many of these so-called black man basher movies? Yeah, but we've also had, but then I'd have to counter them with, yeah, we've also had black exploitation flicks having black women as hoes and, pimps and hoes, and all that stuff. And black women didn't trip. What are you talking about? Yeah, you've had Toni Morrison, but you've also had authors like Iceberg Slim. What are you talking about? Like, what do you do? Why do y'all keep doing this? So then they had, what was the ultimate one? Oprah Winfrey Show that they still try to, and cannot debunk. I don't care. I'm not looking at y'all people with your paid subs and bots responses, okay? I ain't stupid now. I know you need to believe you're winning on stuff. But the Oprah thing, I don't dig Oprah. Like a lot of black women don't dig Oprah. Okay, we had a certain respect for her. However, just because I don't dig someone, just because I don't think somebody's good for our people, just because I feel the person is a raccoon, I don't have to lie about anything. Now, Oprah, yes, she was in like the Women of Brewster Place. And The Color Purple is Miss Sophia. She's played some roles that in some films and series that, you didn't see very many positive examples of black men. I'll put it like that. However, when it came to her TV show, The Talk Show, she usually did not feature black men on that talk show. That is the truth. Okay. One day, perhaps they will show all of those Oprah shows because usually talk shows, you don't really get to see reruns of talk shows like that. Maybe Jerry Springer. But even with those shows, they're not showing from the beginning. But Oprah shows, for the most part, you can't take like 1-2 examples. No, for the most part, she did not have these shows bashing black men. The abundance of her shows, over 90% of when she talked about dysfunctional relations, when she talked about that. Because actually she was trying to get away from she was trying to differentiate herself from the Jerry Springers and all that eventually, especially after there were certain tragedies and stuff that happened, like with the Jenny Jones show. But when she was talking about dysfunctional, that was actually more Sally Jessy Raphael, to be honest. But Oprah's show, when she was talking about dysfunctional family relationships, they would usually be white families. And she had a predominantly white audience. She usually didn't do, despite these examples, a guy on the down low and this, and that. And even they had Vicky Dillard. She took a show where she took something that was totally out of context. And I'm like, I wish I could find that entire show so y'all could see. That show actually made black women. That episode Vicky Dillard was pointing out actually made black men look good in comparison. Now, that's the thing. Like, usually if she did have black male guests on the show, like Sidney Poitier, even, it was like actually the black men looked better than the white men. It was actually the white men that were looking bad on Oprah Winfrey Show, to be honest. Now, that don't mean that she had love for black men or black women, okay? It was more so something that was going on in the 2000s. I noticed that even with her, Gayle King, something about the 2000s agenda. I don't know, then all of a sudden, because Oprah never even cared about black women. The one time she did a show that was more black women specific, she was talking about black women wearing hair weaves. And I remember this back in the 90s. It was sometime in the early 90s, talking about what black women doing with their hair. And I remember my mama, she was kind of pissed off watching it. She's like, now these white women going to be thinking that every black woman with long hair wearing weaves. And yeah, so Oprah didn't even really focus on black women like that. But all of a sudden in the 2000s, she's got a show talking about single black women not married, although educated, blah, blah, blah. And then Oprah said, we're going to have to start expanding our options. And like, oh, okay. So now all of a sudden, yeah. So I was like, okay, I see the agenda now. I see where we're going with this. Oh, now you care about black women. Now you want to talk, more black women specific on things. Because just as she snubbed Ludacris, she did the same with Toni Braxton. So, I took it like Oprah just care about her only black people she care about is her rich black friends. I didn't really take her caring that much about black women either. I didn't hate her. None of us really hated her back then in the 90s. If you notice, you didn't really hear black men talking against Oprah in the 90s. They didn't hate her like that. Like back then when she interviewed Michael Jackson and the Jackson family, you would have thought that she was on Michael Jackson's side. She did not give her reaction to the OJ verdict back in the 90s. In fact, she later talked about the quiet riot that she noticed since the OJ verdict, but she didn't really show. Whereas now into the 2000s, she's talking about she's trying to get OJ to admit that he's guilty. So just something about the 2000s, I just really don't know. Yeah. But I was just saying, just like I said with Bill Cosby, I can call him bougie, this and that, but let's not lie on him. Let's not make it, that's all I'm saying. Whether it's Oprah or Bill Cosby or whoever, let's just tell the truth. Let's stop. If you want it, stop making excuses for whatever you're doing up in here. And then you're telling younger people who are not alive or don't remember, and they're thinking that that's history. They're thinking that black women we ain't even had no media power. Oprah Winfrey may have been the first black person to really have a talk show like that, have a mic, but it wasn't for us. It was for white people. Her mic was for white people. Just keeping it real. That was not a black show in any means. Okay. In fact, you would be more likely to see black people on Ricki Lake, Phil Donahue than Oprah. Yeah. There was a certain point where she had to, it was expected that she would address racism and stuff as tensions were growing late 80s, early 90s, especially by 92. So she would have these token shows, or she'd have, I remember she had one, Sundown Town. This was like late 80s. And eventually, but they would be so safe in comparison to like Donahue. She would not dare, like at least Donahue. And honestly, she's black. It's easy for me to go on Oprah. I get, she probably did not feel that she had the freedom that a Donahue had. Okay, I get it. But, like at least on Donahue, like you would not see no dang on Khalid Muhammad or even Louis Farrakhan on the Oprah Winfrey show. But you could see him on like Donahue. But yeah, so like I told y'all, I have my theory. Why is it that there was this concentrated focus on black women in through social media, more so in the 2000s? My little theory, I talked about the other day, where I felt that actually it was about the black women, I feel, being punished in a sense for the O.J. Simpson verdict. I know it sounds crazy, but the O.J. Simpson verdict and the jury made up of mostly black women, black women, and these are black women of a, mostly, I think, baby boomer, maybe older generation, coming to who they probably thought really would have had an animosity against O.J. Simpson for leaving his black wife. And I know my mama never really liked O.J. Simpson, the whole thing with the Olympics and him like being a mouthpiece for white America once upon a time. When, I think 1968 Olympics, brothers weren't, I talked about this. Got to look into it. OJ, I'm not black, I'm American. That's why white folks once upon a time liked OJ Simpson. And then he ends up leaving his black wife. And so they probably just really thought the black female jury would, a way of getting back at him, like as if we're so spiteful, but as if black women so spiteful. But in black women, and even though my mama didn't like O.J. Simpson, she still didn't think he was guilty. And they still considered the evidence presented. They still I think that they came to the conclusion I would have expected, especially when you watch the trial, which they aired for us. They came to the reasonable conclusion because there was too much reasonable doubt. And then they're seeing not only did these black women as they saw it, let OJ get off for not only unaliving a white woman, but also a Caucasian Jewish man. Yeah. They seeing also black women celebrate. Oh yeah, they all in Oprah Winfrey's audience. Now Oprah Winfrey was just standing still, like she was scared to show her, But black women jumping up and screaming and yeah. And so I think they begin to realize, regardless of what we hearing in these hip hop songs and what we may think we seeing, these black women, they may talk a lot against black men, but they still very clung to black men. These black women, we may, like I said, may talk all this shit, niggas ain't shit, but when it boiled down to it, we still down. And I think that there was an effort to take down. They already put in effort. Okay, they did what they, in taking down what they believe, what they believe taking out the patriarchy, the black male head, and that goes way back even to slavery. But there was still some sort of strong matriarchal structure. Black women being more so in the workplace already did damage to that. And then also, and definitely the crack cocaine epidemic did a big, major damage to the black matriarchy. That's why you have many, and you got to understand, many of these millennials, like the ones I went back to college with, many of them, they don't have that same bond with their mama as many of us older people may have had. Many of them may not even have a big mama in their life. You understand what I'm saying? But you had those, you do still have, because you think about it. Because many of them, I don't want to taunt them as being crack babies and stuff, but many of them, they weren't raised by their mama. They didn't have their mom. And not only did they not have a daddy in their life, they didn't have a mom in their life like that. You have many, like I even think of my nieces who didn't get to, my sister's drug problem. They didn't get to directly know their mama like that. They didn't get to really know her like that. You think about it. Think of all the millennials like in the hood, who were raised by their grandmama. There's a lot of them. Now they may still have that bond, like motherly bond, like with their grandmama and stuff. But even like, remember when Bernie Mac and the Kings of Comedy, what year was that? 2000? That was 2000? Like when he said Big Mama Gone? See, now they'll look at something like Soul Food and make jokes about, like dude from Boondocks making jokes about the Big Mama and she's just killing the family with a high cholesterol food. Yeah, see, we didn't talk like that. We didn't see it like that. That's why they can so easily laugh at Esther Roll on Good Times. And, we had a respect. We remember songs like, I always love my mama. It's not the same. It's not that same love for the black mama. You know what I'm saying? See, you still had those my generation making songs like Dear Mama and Boys to Men Mama. And, and even before that, Say That, the Spinners. That's those days. Yeah. And so it's not that connection. And also not just with the crack cocaine taking out many black mothers, but, black women being very susceptible to that. But also you got to consider, so many black women now, they ain't at home. They gone working in college, working. The claim that black women are the most educated. And they knew, given that report, they did that to trigger not just black men, but white men as well. Okay. I remember when I was in college initially in the 90s, and like a professor had told us that black women were enrolling or pursuing higher education, secondary education, faster than any other group of people. And I remember looking around and seeing it was a bunch of black women in the class. Yeah, so you fast forward to today, and some of these, reports and stuff, they don't quite surprise me, even if they're not totally accurate. But yeah, for one, you had black women being taunted as being welfare queens and skeezers. And then also, there were major cuts. Like I told y'all, what I believe that they're also contributing to the animosity that some black men may have versus black women. You had the, like, we talk about the Food Stamp Act all the time, and people don't get it totally right with that, with the no man in the house, and how that has caused, but we don't talk about the Personal Responsibility Act or the Welfare Reform Act. What was that, 96? So now you got major cuts to welfare. So of course, that just put even more so. And you had at the same time, and this was by Bill Clinton, the so-called first black president, and at the same time, there was stricter child support enforcement. Before then, if black women wanted to, if a woman wanted to, it was her choice. She could still get food stamps. She could still get assistance. And so without, giving information on the child's father. And a lot of black women did. I mean, a lot of black women didn't take advantage. A lot of black women did not, myself included, we did not give information on the child's father. We did not, a lot of them, especially in my generation, did not pursue child support. Whereas now, like if a woman was to receive any, she's got to give that information up. And, you expect a woman not to survive. And so I think this is also something that has caused this animal. And at the same time, you have black men losing, unemployment rate with black men is rising. You got black women in school pursuing second, working more outside the home. That's why also, which is also leading to more obesity and more, you understand? You got black women that's tired and less likely to cook, getting fast food. And because, because I think of how I was in the 90s, man, I was always working in school, doing volunteer work, always gone a lot. I was busting my ass in the night, especially by the mid to late nights. Oh my goodness. And then, I had the responsibility taking in a lot of household, family members, family members' kids. Oh my gosh. So it ain't like this was privileged. Yeah, because some black men see this as a privilege for black women. Like, is it black women being rewarded? No, it's just making a lot of us angry, even angry and tired. Like I said, you don't see as many black women like you did back in the day. The ones, hey, how you doing, sugar? How you doing, baby? Yeah. What happened to that black woman? You got some angry sisters today. Especially I'm looking at these millennials. Woo, they angry. I get it. I understand. Even if I don't totally agree, I get it. These millennials, whoa, they angry. Millennial sisters, they ain't taking the jokes. They ain't taking the Pam versus no, they ain't joking with you. And and especially if they've been witnessing this mess on social media. Yeah, they're angry. They're overworked. They're tired. Big Mama gone. Is that true? Y'all believe Big Mama gone? Like Bernie Mac said. Is that true? But now we making fun of Big Mama, Big Shirley. We making fun of. Used to have a respect for Big Mama, but now it's like, yeah. Now we want to taunt Big Mama, even though she's been holding it down for a while. Yeah, we ain't okay. Yeah, you right. Like I said, this myth that we were eating so much better in the 80s. I always try to tell people we weren't eating so much better. We were just moving more. If we were eating so much better and was so healthier, then why so many of my generation and before even dying? Still, even if we were just moving more. That's all. We was more active. That was the thing. We were moving more. But I ain't gonna say that. Yeah, it is different now with the McDonald's. Because I ain't gonna lie, I was talking about these others. We didn't go to McDonald's like the way people do today. Well, I don't know. McDonald's getting played ever since they lost the dollar menu. Because you can, shoot, this stuff be too expensive now. McDonald's is played. Hey, Yappa Yappa. Oh, thanks for watching. Oh, that made me mad yesterday. That I never heard of this guy. Like, why is this popping up? And I just made them. I said, what could he be talking about his lies? I was so mad I even clicked into that. I will make sure to avoid any and everything else by this person. Or try to. I was mad that YouTube even recommended that to me. Oh, like they get bold. That's why I'm like, oh, I gotta speak on this today, because yeah, I just want us to, come together to realize what the real enemy. And I know deep down it's more of a spiritual thing, deep down. But yeah, because I'm looking around, like seeing anybody addressing this, anybody. I don't know. I used to expect that. I don't know. But I look around YouTube and we still be. But see, now it's spread. See, it started with the whole. But yeah, honestly, I feel that they have been punishing black women. The media, those who know who they control the media, but they have been using black men. See, this is what they had to do. They've been punishing black women. They saw that we are still very much clung to black men, and they feel that we may be the last thing kind of keeping this Afrocentrism alive. Notice with this image that I found here. Notice that they got African American, they're using a woman. Black American, they're using a man. And if you notice, the majority of the people that's the main voices from this FBA thing are black men. And if you haven't also noticed that some of these black men, a lot of them that are in YouTube world, they used to be on that whole manosphere talking stuff. Some of these guys used to be the same people highly critical of black American women. Yes, black American women, more specifically. If you haven't also noticed, some of them are Trump supporters. So they want you to see black women as representing Democrat. And actually, I see more black women a little more on the Afrocentrism tip still. Although many of them are beginning to follow along with the FBA rhetoric. But the one person that exposed one of them people as being a former divester, that there's some female that always got a cleavage out, got a boob showing or something. She's a very beautiful woman. And she the only female I know that's doing. I had never seen her before, but you'll all of a sudden get these people up in here, and they just famous overnight, even though you never really seen them before. And she does these videos on the FBA tip. Now that's the only like female that I really seen on that tip. But then the one Neferkari dude did. She used to be a divester. Like what? What? She used to be talking on some divester stuff. So I am beginning, yeah, and like I said, just after me seeing early on in 2008 all these videos, I always got to take you through a little history lesson. Like, and I'm like, what is going on? And I see how they're influencing the younger men, and then, yeah, particularly the millennials. And I see these, and I find out many of these personalities may have been older, but like my age even. So it's like I knew it was brewing into something, and then just months later, you had the Asia McGowan tragedy, almost like a blood sacrifice. And like when I first heard about it, I was in the message forum. I'm thinking that the first thing that came to my mind, the first vision, a school shooting, man shoots a woman, a young man shoots a young woman. I'm thinking white people. That's just like the first thing that came in my mind with Jeffrey Dahmer. I'm thinking like somewhere like some suburb in Ohio. Didn't know it was 2 blocks from where I was my family was in Milwaukee, in a black neighborhood, which blew my mind. But yeah, the first thing Vision came in my mind, and I'm not saying that makes it better, but I'm just saying that's just what automatically, because I'm thinking school shooters, thinking like calling, I'm not thinking that this. And then when they said that this was black man and somebody who was in YouTube, and this was a YouTube, and like I said, I stayed up all night watching Asia McGowan's videos. I'm like, what could this baby have done? Because she kind of reminded me of my daughter at that time. My daughter was at that time also into dance. I was like, what could this baby have done? She's not even talking about black men or race or anything. What could she have done? Some people were saying, oh, he was on a Christian tip. She was atheist. Well, I didn't hear her anywhere express atheism, religion, or anything. Okay. He was a follower of Sergeant Willie Pete. Yeah, and they just happened to go to the same school. It was not even confirmed whether or not they actually even interacted or knew each other. She only I saw one video where she addressed her haters, like people were trying to, but there was nothing on her channel, like there were no videos where she would be provoking it. She would do like little comedy skits and like just dancing but at that time, there was an environment of just picking at black women. And also you had these white trolls. Because trolling was off the chain. And there was no filter. There was no really censoring at the time. Because you would just go to a video. It could be a black child singing in the choir, in the gospel choir. A little black child. And you would see, oh, look at the little monkey sing. It would be all kind of, look at the, you know how it was. And they would just, if they did, you never see us going in white folks' videos taunting them, but this is what they were doing. And then add on to, it was a time of like just messing with black women and her being a cute girl, could dance, And he just happened to go to her school. It was just crazy. So you would have thought that things would have after that, like, whoa, because it's almost like I knew it was leading to something. And see, that this hit me personally because it made me think of me going back to college and what I was witnessing at the college I was at with black males and black females, like going at it, debating. So when I'm hearing about this school shooting and then this blew my mind. Like, oh my gosh, like something like this could have happened at where I'm at. This blew my mind, almost as if I was called to take notice of this or something and come up in here and try to do videos and try to mediate and try to, you know what I'm saying? So you would have thought that it would have chilled or calmed down. But no, they eventually found somebody. It got worse. They found somebody who had been trying to come up in radio, and it's obvious that he was playing Tommy Sotomayor, and it just got worse. And then also you got to understand, other brothers looking at he's showing off. They see, because I noticed how his videos was being promoted, and then he would eventually be showing off his home, showing off his swimming pool, So of course there was other brothers who may have not even been talking on that tip. They're seeing what he got, and if I could just make money just talking about black women weaves and how, you know what I'm saying? So then next thing you know, everybody started jumping on that. I can make money talking about black women. And like I told people, it's going, even before Tommy came along, there's going to be an equivalent. There's going to be a female counter. I would have never thought that it would have been through the whole pro-black with the Cynthia G. I thought it was probably going to be I said, I'm telling y'all, it's going to be a female answer. Now, don't get me wrong. There were females responding like you see here with Speak the Real. Hold on. There were females responding, individuals, but there wasn't, and even like myself, eventually. But there wasn't somebody just really powerful like that really got the females, attention. Like I think there was like this Blake Barbie doll or something, but it wasn't on the same level. It just wasn't. You know, who would have thought? Yeah, okay. See, like, yeah, like you see here. Hold on. Yeah, like you see here, you see people respond and speak the real, but you know, individual women. Now you say you remember this woman, but I just, as you can see, it just didn't blow up like that. I guess I was as good, kind of as it didn't blow up like that. Is this his channel? Is this their Speak the Real channel? No, I don't. What? Is this the person? No, this can't be because this person only got 13 subscribers. Bitch, I'm not paying you child support. Okay, no, I don't think that's the same person. And like, do we finally see this guy's face? But you see how people just responding. See how people responding. You had individuals responding, but initially, I didn't know that RWS was hashtag exposed. I didn't know that she was Miss Prophet. I knew her as White Geno. Initially, I didn't know they were the same person. Oh gosh, yeah, that name is familiar right there. That name is familiar. And this is one thing I noticed too. When Tommy came along, that's when certain other people, because black men didn't really have no issue with me. They tried to get something going with me in the Dan Avenue rants, but they ain't go nowhere. I didn't feed into that really. I just responded to what I responded to. And I realized with him, it was just locker room talk with him. I think they got rid because he had a video, D teasing DICK teasing BITCHs and responding to Delicious of Flavor Love, who talked about being RAPED after she allowed a guy to go down on her. And I think there was some females had an issue, like as if he's playing down an RAPE with the title Dick. Yeah. And that was like what I last remember with him. I think they flagged it or something. That wasn't me, by the way. But yeah, it was only when I noticed, and this is a funny thing with Tommy. That's when I first saw people responding like a cult. Like I could respond. Okay, there were black men and black women, and you can see I can show you my videos. They both were hearing me because they clearly understood that I'm for brothers and sisters. Of course, I'm just gonna first and foremost speak for sisters, especially because for one, I am a black woman. I could better speak for black women and give you try to give you a better understanding of black women. And plus, it was black women. Let's just keep it real. Let's stop lying. It did start off with black women with this whole gender war. It did start off with black women being attacked initially, and at least in YouTube world, definitely. It did not start off like with the Cynthia G's and all that. I'm just keeping it real on that. It could, in fact, like I said, YouTube itself started. They were inspired. The Caucasian boys primarily behind YouTube. They, was the whole Janet Jackson. If you look into the real history of what inspired them to create YouTube, it's the Janet Jackson Super Bowl. They wanted somewhere, a platform you could watch these little video clips over and over, and then voice your fake outrage or whatever. But like I said, in media, period, black women are targeted. But I believe that certain people were planned. Now that I really look back, yeah, because I think white men are also behind this. Definitely. I believe that, and they are using black men because a way to get to black women. I think that they felt that black women, the last that's holding on to any idea of black pride and Afrocentrism or whatever. And I think that in black unity, they may think that they already got black men, especially by the time of the bling era. Want to make black men believe that they're winning, having P. Diddy, ringleader, promoting this idea of black men being quote unquote traveling men, promoting the Jennifer Lopez and stuff. But they feel like they had to work on black women to get us detached from black men. And I think they have been making black women pay for the OJ verdict paid for our what they see as loyalty and attachment still to black men. And the best way they felt that they could do this, now they already were taking jabs through media or just removing us from media, where you only see us as being victims in a Tyler Perry movie, or we acting a fool in a reality show like A Flavor of Love or something. But what they did, which I feel has been more effective in using black men or allowing black men, giving them spotlight and showcase to come at black men, because to convince black women they had, this is what's most effective. Convince black women that black men hate you, that black men hate you, and your loyalty and your attachment is pointless. And it's just really like, where did these people go? Because now I'm even questioning, even like with Sergeant Willie P, because it just all seemed to happen at the same time. It could be a coincidence, especially after the Personal Responsibility Act. It could be a coincidence. But speak the real, Oh yeah, when Sergeant Willie Pete left YouTube after Asia McGowan tragedy, although he came back. And you see, give him salutes. But these people, believe it or not, these were the first black YouTuber. These were the early black YouTubers. I'm not talking about just black people who happen to be in YouTube. I'm talking about representing black voices. Sadly, I'd like to say that it was more about black history and all that, but it was about this gender stuff. These were the black perspectives you were initially hearing in YouTube. Even though when I came in social media, I was just talking about things, period, music and this and that. But in YouTube, I felt as if I had to first address, because of what I was witnessing in college and stuff, I felt that I had to address what was already brewing in YouTube world, more specifically YouTube. Although now it's gone beyond a lot of this rhetoric into TikTok and stuff. But like I said, that very same person to speak the real at around the same time, 2008, even though I've been in the message forum in 2002, they were popping up in the message forum. They never been, and that's all they wanted to talk about was black women. So it makes me wonder, who the hell was this person? Where they disappeared to? Okay, what's the name? Speak the real. Who was this person? Because most of y'all don't even know who that is. Now, Sergeant Willie Pete and but they were the main two. Sergeant Willie Pete's name, he became a little more well-known. He was also a better speaker. I will say that. Didn't Speak the Real. Wait, did we even hear Speak the Real's voice? Wait. Yeah, wait. But now, fast forward to today. Yeah, so it's like it started off with the dividing of black men and black women. And then they like I said, they were gonna come with a female counter. Someone to counter, and they're going to be just as ruthless and hardcore as a Tommy Sotomayor. But they're going to have to do on another angle, because you're dealing with females here. You're going to have female listeners. You can't just say stuff like black women means, like you can't go as far as Tommy. But they're going to be just as scandalous, just as cold-blooded. But you gotta, when talking with females, gotta do it differently. But I would not have guessed that it would have been Cynthia Jade. I would not have guessed that. Because it wasn't enough with, Kristen Cares and, that was to entice you with the idea of the soft life if you marry non-black or marry white. More specifically, you will be able to be even a housewife, may be able to garden, you will be able to lose weight, you will be able to live and hold champagne glasses while doing your videos and everything. And with Kristen Carey, she's never disrespected me, but nah, but it is interesting, when did I really start seeing more of now you had sisters like myself and, responding to some of this stuff, but I mean, you didn't really have that female counter like that. But then I remember eventually people mentioning this Crystalline Kerosene, almost like why do you keep bringing it? Like, you don't say nothing Crystalline Kerosene. I'm like, I don't even know who that is. And it's almost like I remember Sergeant Willie P was afraid he was responding to one of my videos saying she don't say nothing Crystalline Kerosene. And I'm like, I don't even know who that is, first of all. And then now when I think about it, is it that y'all wanted us to know these people's names? Like, almost like maybe this is on purpose. Maybe y'all knew in mentioning her that you were promoting her channel. I don't know what to think now. This is really wild now that I think back on it. This is really wild. But yeah, she still wasn't the one that was really going to take it there, you know? But I noticed, like I said, with Tommy, that's when I know if you said something towards him, you would have a whole swarm. Now all of a sudden I got people making videos just to be like this Big J Triple X, who has always been trying to get my oh yeah, now he wants to talk as if he's against the manosphere. Oh no, he was very much. He was coming at me on behalf of Tommy Sotomayor. It's so funny how these people flip. But that was only when it was with Todd. So like, yeah. And I would even try to talk nice to him, trying to reach him when I'd be on panels and stuff. Trying to, like, what's wrong with you? Why are you so angry? You know, what is your animosity? Still, you know? It's almost like a crush thing with that dude, though. But, oh boy. Well, yeah, you got all of a sudden then it was Aquarius. There's all these, yeah. That's when I realized, okay, we on a cliquish. Started being these little cults. And that's when you start from Tommy and stuff. Starts, and then you had TRS to like counter him. And then what was considered the Black Sector. All right. They were supposedly a counter to the Tommy. So, but then you find out they're just as dysfunctional. They're all really on the same team. Like they're all buddies. They just were playing a game of chess, you know. But they're really all buddies with each other. So you had all of but see, now this is what's interesting. Yeah, so yeah, what I have to say, like with the Cynthia G, and I've talked on this many times, what it is, okay, yeah, like I said, it's around 2015, 16, definitely about 2016. 1 second. Okay, press 1 if y'all can hear me loud enough, clear enough. But like in the case Cynthia G, you know, and I had subscribed to, a lot of us subscribed to, but I noticed 2015, 16, that was the new wave of YouTube. You had the 2008, you know, period. But there was a new wave of, I guess you could say, Black new YouTube. That's when you start seeing even more. Yeah, yeah. First with the 2008, and then you had around 2010 from, you know, through 2013, that's when we got to know of Tariq Nasheed. That's when you started seeing these bigger personalities who already apparently had some sort of media connections, like Tommy Sotomayor and Tariq Nasheed. Okay? And we're supposed to see Tommy Sotomayor as the bad guy and Tariq Nasheed as the good guy. You know, the Beatles versus the Rolling Stones. But then you realize, yeah, these guys are all on the same team. Also, around that period, you had, you know, start seeing here and there a few famous, yeah, like Corey Holcomb, famous but not too famous, like the 5150 and all that stuff. And then, you know, if you notice, remember these guys, Tommy, Tariq, Zoe Williams, all of them having lunch together. And the same guy. Also, remember, around 2008, was it? You had that Diary of a Tired Black Man, which was like kind of like a response to. And I remember when I was at my college, the brothers, they wanted me to watch it with them. I watched it with them. I was like, okay, I ain't got nothing against it. The Diary, they wanted me to sit and watch it with them. You see how social media was influencing? And that very same director, Diary of a Tired Black Man, ain't he the one? Wasn't that Lana his girlfriend that ended up getting with Tommy Sotomayor. All these guys know each other. It's like this is all a part of a plan. I'm telling you, this is all like a part of some plot or some plan. And I'm not saying that brothers should not be able to express their angst, just as sisters should be able to express our angst. But it's just something really funny about all of this. Yes, I'm not lying for this way. Your brothers wanted me to watch it in college. So I realized social media is affected. It's really having an influence. Big time. It was this guy, my husband, I know. He's a friend of my husband's, you know. He was having issues with he had lost his mom, you know, but was left a lot of money from his, you know, mom, you know. But he these females at the college, you know, would be trying to use him. You know, he was kind of had some self-esteem issues. These females, yeah, and it was this Cuban girl who played him, and then a white girl played him. But he got all into, and this is something my husband and I knew. He got all into Tommy Sotomayor. And remember, I told you my friend my friend who was with the magazines and stuff. And I remember when I told him, and this is before the Asian McGowan tragedy, after the brother, you know, introduced me to that video, Black Women Drop the Ball and all that. And I did my little, you know, that's when I first started seeing these YouTube personalities. So I went to my friend, I was like, do you know about this Sergeant Willie Pete in YouTube? And my friend was like, yeah, that's my boy. I was like, oh, really? Like, yeah, he the man. I was like, oh, okay. Oh, all right. Maybe I'll hold back my opinion. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, he was Sergeant very good. He's a person who would have you like nodding your head to a lot of what he's saying, unlike Tommy Sotomayor, who is so over the top. But he would have you, you know, and he was one thing I could say, Sergeant P, good, you know, very good speaker, unlike myself. Because I don't even think I heard any form of editing in his videos. And he wouldn't even show any image. He'd just have one solid image of his little symbol or whatever. And why was he calling so sergeant? Like, I was like, he was sent to recruit. But he would use it and he just like talked straight through that 10 minutes. And, you know, I don't even think he did any editing. Very good speaker. But I never felt love. I don't even say how black men felt love. It just never came off like it. The same thing with Cynthia G. Never felt love. Even when I did agree with her on things, when I was subscribed, like when she be talking about the angry Caucasoid, you know, it was never any love. And she did the exact like Sergeant Willie Pete, where almost like making white racism, eventually she made it like synonymous with black men and their failure. I don't know. Eventually. Who said he's 6'6" over? Who is that? Who's 6'6" over 300 pounds? And I'm telling you, I found out a lot of these guys, especially around that time of 2000, Therese and the Tommies, these are people in my age group. You kidding me? You've got to. Was he playing? Was he playing? He don't sound like he overweight. And wasn't he one of them talking about the obesity? He didn't sound like he was overweight. That's the thing. To this day, I just never thought he was like a planter or agent or anything. I just really did think he's some disgruntled individual or just. And with him, I took vibes from Sergeant Willie Pete. Like he just sick of black. That's how. Even though he initially with the black women, but he just came off like that. And that's one thing I realized. Even like with David Carroll, like these people, they sound like they don't like black people. Like they're just so sick of. That's what the vibes I get from Aaron Magruder with the Boondocks. You're sick of this. Ain't about you sick of white race. You're more embarrassed by black people deep down. Like we're so stupid to you. Like you're so above these Negroes. There's like a very condescending tone. And same with Cynthia G. You never got yeah, and so that this was the okay, you had the initial wave, like I guess you could say from 2006 to 2010. You know, it was more so black individuals, and you know, even though YouTube didn't really start out about us, but it was, you know, that initial wave, and that included myself. Although I'm not part of no agenda or nothing, but or no sinister agenda, that's for sure. Then you start seeing a few more popular, yeah, people that had more media connections, like Tariq Nasheed, Tommy Sotomayor, Corey Holcomb. You know, you just start seeing like these kind of D-listers of people that's trying to come up underground through radio, and they tried to be a DJ or whatever the hell, tried to be an author. They had some books or whatever been else. Well, we know with Tariq Nasheed. And then you had, yeah, that was like from 2000, I'd say from 2010 to around 2015. And then you had this wave. And what was interesting too, around that same time, like in the like 2000, you start seeing more also these, that was the time of the Illuminati era. Like, well, that was actually popping off like 2008 and on. Yeah, you start seeing all the conspiracy related stuff at the same time. But that's I'm just talking about more black YouTube. Then I think when it really got, yeah, when it was at its prime with what we consider black YouTube, with all the sectors, cults, and cliques, after 2015, like especially by 2016, that's when we learned about Boyce Watkins, and he came along with all these females like the Yvette Carnell. I think that was when we really got the plants up in here for sure. You had the Boyce Watkins and the yeah, I will say that era prior to that, that's also when we learned about Crystalline Karazen, around the time with the Tommy Sotomayors and the Tariq Nasheed. You know, you got these authors and people who've already been interviewed and stuff on television and stuff, or they underground trying to come up as radio personalities and all of that. And black women were still the primary negative target. But then in 2015, 16, you got like Boyce Watkins, and through him we learned about Yvette Carnell, Vicky Dillard. Although Paris Milan might have already been, but a lot of people learned about her through him. And Michi X and Cynthia G. And you think about, also Dina Jacobs became, even though she was already this actress who, you know, she was on an episode of Hater. She was like, you know, with Kim Kardashian, but she also became a part of the Boyce Watkins camp. And you think about it, how many of the females from Boyce Watkins, they ended up disputing with him, or they fell off, or they went in this direction. Even though they started off pro-black, it seemed they eventually went in this kind of like black men bashing direction. I think the only one that may not, or the only ones, Vicky Dillard, and I still question her, and Michi X. But one thing I noticed about the people with the Boyce, I can't get with them. And we see that Michi X was cool. She was you see, she was linked up with Tommy Sotomayor. So you can't trust these people. The thing I noticed with the Boyce Watkins that made them even more so dangerous, I noticed that quite a few of them, they would go at the Bible. Black people who believe in the Bible. It's like they were all pretty much non-believers. Oh, and then at the same time, you had the Boyce Watkins crew. You had the Sarnettas. Now you had more females with Boyce Watkins, more males coming out of, well, males and females with Sarnetta. Sarnetta becoming the Don King of black YouTube. You know, it's all about the boxing match. He mainly loved attacking or going at the Bible believers. So he had the Comedics versus the Hebrews versus Hebrew Israelites versus Nation Islam versus. And if you notice around that time too, that's when you learned about Dane Calloway. Even though there had been people before him, individuals like 1,000 Go Ahead, trying to promote this idea, we ain't Africans, that, or we and that's even when some of these, even though you've been having these camps, these is, like the ones in New York City, that goes back to like props of 60s and 70s maybe. But yeah, but they became more popular, some of these Hebrew Israelite camps, and the ones most notorious that will get more of the spotlight, at least with the Sonetta world, GMS and ISUPK, where the names become more popular. Like people like Sakari, and but you had and it was through Sonetta that you learned about Young Pharaoh. I mean, no, did you learn about Young Pharaoh? I just know it was around. No, I think I meant to say Brother Polite, but that's when it was really in the black sector, underground. What you thought was underground, that was really popping. I even being a participant at one period. But as I say, the sectors like the spears, they're all linked. Yeah, then you start getting these spears from the manosphere. But come to find out, that's something they took from white folks, white men, the manosphere. And although there was nothing officially referred to as the woman sphere, but you had an individual YouTuber. But if we were to describe the black woman sphere, but before that it was the MGTOW, and then the black W, black women going their own way, men they're taking these little clicks and little hashtags from white folks and their issues with gender issues, and we taking them on, men going their own way in manosphere. Then so eventually you got women going their own way in a channel called One Sphere. And see, like in the case of Cynthia G, see, she was good. See, she knew. Now, why is it that with someone like Cynthia G, she came more under the pro-black approach, even making it seem as if she was against the crystalline Karazins? But she probably been with more white men than crystalline. That's why she said her little comment. If she wanted to, she could take her man and talking about she knew girl talking experience. Her and her sisters, they definitely about the swirl. They always been about the swirl and other things. But she came in under the guise of pro-blackness. Now, why use that approach with black women? Because the plan all along was to get black women detached from this idea of black on black love. So it was better. See, she came in under the guise of pro-blackness with black women, because it wasn't about reaching those, black women who may have already been open to interracial relationships. They got crystalline Karazin for that. But it was to reach the black women, the power to the people. Like sisters, like let's say like myself, and also see, and she was younger than me, and also she could reach the Shaniquas or the round the way black girls. The black females, like I said, they may not be conscious. Like I said, they may not know anything on black history. They may not be what you would consider pro-black, but they still down for the, they still like ride or die, down for the niggas, excuse me for putting it like that. But think of the Jay-Z song video, Girls, and when he got to the girl in the hood, baby girl, my heart, them types. Or just the around the way girl, she may not be conscious and all that. She may wear extensions in her hair, lashes and all that, but she still, when it boiled down to it, she don't want no white peen. And those be the types a lot of brothers think are the most loyal. See, those, like the ones you think Pam from Martin. You know, those, you know, round the way girl. That can be related. When it boiled down to it, she's still down with the brothers. Those ones are actually some of the most loyal. Even though they may not come off, they may not wear their hair natural, they may not, you know, they may not be Afrocentric or, you know, or have any sort of bohemian style. What you may see is more pro-black represented, but those be the ones that be like deep down. Those are the ones most down. Yeah, they'll cuss a brother out, but when it boiled down to it, they still want to be with the brothers. See, and Cynthia G, she was effective in being able, you know, you look at, you know, she talked all on this pro-black radical tip, but she don't look like it. She's still wearing bundles, or she's still, you know what I'm saying? And she's younger. The only thing is she didn't really have a slang like that, but that's why she had to hook up with people, whether it be like Woman's Fear, you know, analysis, just to get a little more connected to the girl. Because I can tell you, Cynthia G type, she ain't the type to really be hanging with black girls like that. Beyond her sisters, beyond her biological sisters. She's a Seattle, California, Portland, Oregon girl. You saw her in the pictures partying with white girls. She's that one token white girl with a friend, that token black girl with a friend of a white girl, with a, you know, crowd of white girls. But see, she would listen. If you notice, Cynthia G, she pick up the slang of like Tariq Nasheed, him saying Dusty. She pick up the slang that we be saying and stuff, all of the lingo. It was Tariq Nasheed with all that dusty talk. So eventually she was able to tap into, even more effectively than Crystalline Carrison, who is my age, even more effectively than she ever could. Do you understand what I'm saying? And that, and then people seeing Cynthia G and that, yeah. You already had like the circle with Crystalline Carrison. You already had that going. But they had to reach, yeah, I think Cynthia G, a lot of the black females, perhaps they felt they couldn't relate to Crystalline Carrison. Maybe they felt that she was too much of a valley girl. Even though Cynthia G, she just ain't, you know, she's, you know, Crystalline Carrison, I'm sure, probably had more connections to black females than Cynthia G, despite being a California Valley girl. Now, just because you're, you know, in Seattle, that don't mean that your family rich. You've got a lot of broke black folks that's living, you know, amongst white people. You know, I do my research. I'm not stupid on these people. You hear me? I just ain't put it all out there. But I knows you. Yeah, and you'll find they're linked with these charities, questionable charitable organizations and stuff. And see, too, at the time, yeah, that's when you really start having, around after 2015, 16, you really start seeing these cults, black cults. Learned about Nature Boy. I think it was just something about this. It was the main two camps. That's when you really got these camps and cults. By that time, Soto Nation was just... And now we have what is left over of, and I'm gonna tell you, from Soto Nation, that's where you got the golden sphere. Because I know a lot of these people, even though now they talk as if they're against this hate rhetoric and all that, a lot of y'all was following the Tommy Sotomayors, and y'all had no issue. You had no issue when it was just black women being clowned or just black people. It's when you more specifically start getting, you know what I'm saying? And now these little spears and circles, they're eating themselves alive. They're eating themselves up. And this is all by design. And then from the golden sphere and all, okay. Yeah, okay. They with the black women, they start tapping more into the colorism thing. We had already been for years talking about colorism and just addressing some of these talking points. And these are things, even in the message forms, we had already been, discussing. Like this whole thing with Martin is nothing new. But then when you start having these personalities, these more popular personalities now, in YouTube. And see, what's interesting from Sergeant Willie Pete, Chrissy was his like kind of like protege. From her, yeah. Then, and even when I think about it, let me see, when did Rashida Strober come along? But it's just making me wonder. Now I'm not saying that all these people are ages, but it does make you wonder what the heck is, it is something to think about. But then they start making the discussion of colorism somehow swirling. The option to swirl became linked with that. You know what I mean? Where now, if I see a channel where they're speaking on colorism, featureism, texturism, now it's like I can't automatically listen, maybe something either promoting colorism, promoting swirling, or you understand what I'm saying? And let's not even go into now with the exoticals and all that. That's on a whole nother level. But I got to say, I have never, you know what? That name is familiar. I've seen that name. You heard me first time. Oh, goodness, you remember it. It's just too many now for me to even. Yeah, that name is familiar. Before Chrissy. No, but Chrissy and Sergeant Willie P, they were on the same. Yeah, that's how I learned about. Yeah. Now I liked when Chrissy had her own channel individual. It's just I stopped following when it kind of went into that direction. The swirl kind of promotion. That's when I stopped following because it wasn't like that initially. But I don't think they ever became enemies. They just went their separate ways, if you will. Or she went her separate way, or as she put it, burned the cape. But I don't think they ever really had like this official falling off with each other. Yeah, and it even makes me question. I don't want to question this, but it even makes me question with the whole thing with the Rashida Strober being donkey of the day. It even makes me question everything now. And with the whole thing blowing up with Kendrick Lamar, why did that go viral? You got to think about it. Why did that go viral? Rashida Strober being a person, come to find out she already had a kind of a background in theater, being an author and everything. And I never had no issue with Rashida Strober, but like I say, nothing goes viral coincidentally. There have been people been making comments on colorism, but that made, if you notice, it got so much attention. She became donkey of the day, almost like she was intended to kind of be the sacrifice, or for a humiliation ritual or whatever. Almost like this was so much. I don't know what to believe now. It's like everything is pretty much scripted out. And now, fast forward, so a lot of these very same persons, now even though certain people have kind of faded out or they're no longer up in here, just not as popping as they were, like a lot of the OGs, if you will. I don't know. People don't even remember the name Speak the Real. A lot of these people, who are the earlier ones? Who are the earlier ones? There's quite a few of them. Pink Elephant. A lot of them, they faded out. Black Pride. Black Pride. A lot of them faded out, or they're just not as big as they were, like with the Sergeant Willie P. But but the ones who did were able to. Now I really do feel that Tommy Sotomayor was canceled. Some of these other people, I gotta leave YouTube. Some of them. No, it's just them trying to get you to support their Patreon, or it's to make them look legit. Like I knew Cynthia G's would be back. They just had to save face. I knew she was gonna be back up in here very easily. Okay, very easily. Oh gosh. Oh goodness. But now Tommy, he really was canceled. The powers that be really did cut his strings. He did.
where some of these people are just controlled opposition. But yeah, when he went on that rant, because yeah, Tommy, he became out of control opposition. Yeah, he went too far. I think Tommy went beyond the script. That's because his ego. He is unstable for real. This isn't. Whereas, I believe with Tariq Nasheed, dude, is he's a very good player. He's a very good player. Dang, he's good. Dang, he is good. I can't believe how good that guy is. I've been playing like a mother. Gosh, he good. Man. Oh, goodness. He is good. But the time he too unstable. He can't stick to the script. Because it is ego. Because he got some serious issues with his ego. His ego is, which is really, like I say, all that pride is really about insecurities. Pride is really stemmed from insecurities. That's why the Bible warns about pride. He felt, oh, I could go so far as talking about the bagel eating mother. I was like, keep going, Tommy. Yeah, keep going. I'm so badass. I can confront the Jewish people. That's why I believe. I still don't care what you say. I still believe that Candace Owens is controlled opposition. With Tommy, that was off the script. With Tommy, that was off the script. Him going on a rant. That's why they shut his ass down. It didn't have a damn thing to do with black women. He couldn't say anything worse than what he already said on black. This guy was able to survive for like 5 years or so after saying that black women, they need to bring back the hollow COUST, but with black women, need to throw them in ovens like it all should. He was able to get away with that for years, saying stuff like that. And he'd say it again and again. Nothing was done. Nothing was done. You would think something would have even been done for him, just even mentioning the Holocaust in such a manner. Nothing. There was petitions. Nothing could be done about him. He had a ton of channels, to back him up. They shut him down not only in YouTube, but Twitter, so there's only one place they all run into now. That name's familiar too. I can't even keep up. I just do these videos. But the ones who were allowed to go on, oh my gosh, and the ones most deceptive were the ones who were started on the pro-black vibe. Now, you'd have people like, sorry, they act like they were talking out of a concern for black people. But seriously, they did have it like Tariq Nasheed is the good guy, or the guy that you would rather follow, who calls out the raccoons with his coon train video, and Tommy's the bad guy. Tommy's Rolling Stones, Tariq Nasheed's the Beatles, but they're with the same record label. Both plants. Oh my gosh, this is just too good to be true. And see, that's how they was able to get like with the black women with Cynthia G. See, they weren't targeting those black females who may have already been colorblind or just didn't really think much about interracial relationship like that. They needed to get the more pro-black and them ride or die, the pro-black Bahamadia and the ride or die Shaniquas. That's who they need to target. Okay, so she came in under the guise of pro-black, even going at Crystal and Karis. Eventually, she links up with Crystal and Karis, and only to steal her audience. And I was like crazy because I'm looking at them, and they put like they were like Cynthia, Crystal, and who Crystal and who? I was like, dang. I mean, that's how they do me too. She do. Lasheed for who? But no. Yeah, that's all that was about. And she studied us all up in here. She took notes on everybody up in here. Every black woman, whether your intentions were for good or... Yeah, and she was just a scandal. But see, you can't come in when you're dealing with women. You can't just talk to us off the bat. Oh,
black men need to be thrown, and she couldn't have came in on that tip. No, because women are different. But eventually she was able to get black women to eventually laugh along with her saying that black men are bullet bags, even if they got black sons. See how she was able to do that? Get you laughing at stuff that you know ain't in your motherly instinct to be laughing at. But anyways. And see now though, some of the ones, these very same ones, many of them, and then we find out eventually that Tariq Nasheed had what we would call manosphere roots in his talking points. In fact, you find out that he was just as bad as the time, but people have been trying to point that out, to be honest. He was even just as bad with the whole, K-Flex, Cosmo Flex, come to find out. And so now some of these very same people who, because I used to didn't understand why he said that. Remember when he first dissed Tommy and or dissed him back or whatever, and he said that Tommy was he's one of my bastard children. And I didn't know why he said that. You know why he said that? Because a lot of that rhetoric that Tommy was talking, he was talking. We just didn't really, a lot of us may have, unless you were always following him. And a lot of the women and black, did not know of his K-Flex days and all that stuff. Yeah, but a lot of these same ones I'm seeing up in here. Yeah, and it's after and then we could talk about has there been another wave since then? Well, I guess you could say the crashing period around 2019. Many of us losing our channels, things led by algorithm, and things turned all upside down, and eventually the introduction of AI and all that. Would I say that that's the Kevin Samuels period, or would I put him back with the 2016? Yeah. But actually, that was the beginning. That it seemed like that's when the manosphere was in its prime and mainstream. But in a way, it is the beginning of the end. And this stuff becoming a little more mainstream, even with what we call the black manosphere, taking it mainstream, like from 2019 to 2020. I guess you could say now, with the Fresh and Fits and these personalities that are actually taking this stuff more mainstream. Oh my gosh, I don't remember that. Oh, goodness. But and it was like almost like Kevin Samuels ended up being like then so all of a sudden Kevin Samuels, he becomes this primary voice for the disgruntled black men who are frustrated with women, more specifically black women. And that's when stuff really was going viral beyond just the YouTube streets. Now you see comedians mentioning Kevin Samuels and certain YouTube personalities that they weren't mentioning before. Yeah, that's when it started going mainstream, and even Fresh and Fit, and now you see these people in documentaries and stuff. Yeah. But one thing I noticed, a lot of these ones that started it out, disrespecting black, I noticed how they have straight up flipped to, some of these very ones, like you got the little, the Red Supreme and Dennis Sperling, and some of these same ones was talking stuff on black women, and even enticing. Yeah, and that's also, you had the the Passport Bros era. But really, when you think about it, that goes back to Tariq Nasheed. But he just wasn't really, so much promoting that as a YouTuber around his Good in Colors phase. Almost like he was set up to be like this counter to the coonery, supposedly.
of the Tommy Sotomayor. Yeah. But if you notice, like from Tommy, it went from bashing black women, it didn't just bashing black people. Like, look at Angry Man. Initially, he was just talking about black women. Now it's black people. You see what I'm saying? But we're going to start to get black men on board with a lot of this raccoon rhetoric. Oh, we'll go for the easy target, black women. Now we're going to, you know what I'm saying, just talk about black people in general. Or you had these ones who the ones who still want to just keep their predominantly black audience. They're on this FBA tip. I have never seen so many doggone divisions. Now it is crazy. Red Supreme, Dennis Brown, these are the same guys who were promoting predominantly Caucasian, mestiza, Latino women overseas. Really, now all of a sudden, they're Captain America. They now they're pro-Black USA. When the hell did that happen? A lot of these very same guys, Tariq Nasheed included, who was in Brazil talking about how, and he was with these Caucasian Brazilian women, talking about how they have better bodies, better attitudes than American women. And he's thinking Black American women. But now he is pro-Black USA. He loves, Black American sisters would never do this. Like, and then, let's not even go into the whole the color spectrum. Like I said, from Soto Nation and all that, you got the Golden Sphere. Now there's the mulattoes. Now there's and then you got the exoticals. You got all of these. Yeah, but it all has to, it's the same sentiment. Hate black, whether it's black women, black men, light skin, black, dark skin, black, brown. Yeah. They even try to make something, I guess the exoticals, what that represent brown skin. It's we black, but we ain't that black. We're brown skin. Yeah, that's all that I'm noticing with the exoticals. These are a lot of brown skin women. We black, but we ain't that black. A lot of brown skin, caramel skin, brown skin women. But it's all when it boils down to it, it's all anti-black or anti. And that's how I also feel. And I know y'all thinking I'm going to be the one to finally jump on the raccoon train. But no. Me acknowledging that perhaps we need to stop referring to ourselves as black. That is more of a spiritual awakening. Like I said, nobody really flip-flops. The way that people have been flip-flopping up in the air. Unless it's something really traumatic that happened to you. Yeah, and some can say this is traumatizing, but it had to be something really traumatic happen to you. And I'm not saying that makes it justified. Like if you were RAPED by, let's say, someone black, and it just messed up your mind. I'm not saying that makes it right, but the only time people flip, like the way you saw the Cynthia G's, and some of these people just flipping within 1 year, acting like they just act like as if they just put their old videos on private, like as if you ain't gonna forget what they were talking about. Yeah. Also, O'Shea Duke Jackson came along around the 2015, 2016. That's when you really had these characters. And you remember how he used to talk? He was Tommy 2.0. Even though these very same people, and that's the thing, they all act like they're enemies with each other. They all act like they hate each other. There's all this infighting. And I think I've pretty much may have addressed it all. At least at one point. Whether it's the black men hate no black women hate no black men, all the Golden Sphere, all of this. Yeah, but I have never seen. Yeah, so they got the ones that were once not that long ago. Some of them just no more than like 2-3 years ago. Like Dennis Pearl and stuff. We're just talking about promoting black women. I mean, non-black women in other countries. You was promoting the passport. Now all of a sudden, you're FBA and you're pro-man. Like, what the hell is going? Like, come on, now, this is so obvious.
And it's like nobody cares. It's so obvious, but it's like they're doing some sort of straight up. That's why I have to say medium instead of just media. This is voodoo. Like, oh my gosh. And people want to be a part of a clique. They gotta find a clique. And I'm just individual, like just observing it all and just, I've been observing this. I could write a book on all of this. This is something. I have never seen. Yeah, so they're doing now they're anti, like I said with my friend, and I know he ain't no agent and nothing like that, no secret agent man. But like with my friend, who once put in that Africans were not the enemy, who was once pro-black and all that. He's been taught, I saw his little videos where he's saying, obviously he's been influenced by this, anti-African rhetoric. And then I'm looking around and I'm also seeing, oh yeah, and then like in the lights of the MLS, they gender warring. And then I look around and I see, or what they say, the MLS is for mixed light skin, by the way. They're gender warring. They're dissecting, whether it's biracials, black mama, white mama, biracials, or mixed people, whatever, who are Latino versus those who are not, versus, oh my gosh. And then I'm looking, but black got to be involved somewhere. Because it got to be some sort of anti-black rhetoric at the end of the day. But, and then it's like, okay, then I'm noticing, this is another thing I'm noticing in doing my observances. Then I'm noticing, yeah, okay, you already got the FBA versus tethers, whatever, and the primary tether, the primary target is Africa. I explained to y'all what I believe that's about. Then I'm noticing something I'm also noticing, because I heard about in the UK, there are those, now you have those in the UK who are of West Indies descent, like more specifically Jamaica. I think that goes back to like a migration that happened like in the 50s, as I believe, But you've had, and I guess you could say more relatively recent years, a black population more directly from the African continent, like from Nigeria, migrating to the UK. So I'm hearing there's black people from black people from Nigeria, or black people in the UK who are more direct African and have more direct African connection versus those whose parents or their people may have derived more directly from the West Indies. I hear that there's, like I'm hearing, supposedly, and that might be just hyped up, South Africa versus every other African thing, more specifically Nigerians, like with that whole thing 2 years ago, the controversy with that woman who was trying to run for, she was a runner-up for the Miss Universe, Chidima Adesina, but she was kind of ousted from where she grew up in South Africa simply because her parents, she was actually born in Nigeria. And that kind of, I'm hearing, I have never seen so much. This is ridiculous. There are people, they seriously respond with animosity if they just hear the term African American, for instance. Like, okay, you just have Jesse Jackson, who just passed away. Okay, now I expected that there were going to be people who talk about the things with Jesse Jackson that they didn't agree with, or like there's some people who may have suspected some things with Jesse Jackson, even in his relations with Dr. King. I expected to see that because I remember my mom, she didn't totally trust. This is going back to 80s memories with my mom. She didn't really trust Jesse Jackson because I think things that she just didn't really trust him. But I did not expect people like with Tariq Shannon just solely focus on he's the one who he was not the person, but he kind of helped solidify African American. That's what they were so focused on. Just forget about his life, forget about discussing his legacy and any sort of, and then like I'm seeing this fake outrage something about Juneteenth and the Obamas and the art that they choose to, I guess because it's too Afrocentric or whatever. And it's just like I just noticed a video with Poetic Flacco, and he himself is, was I believe he or his parents were born in Africa, but it's like it's this fake. He's trying to stir fake outrage, and I ain't really have nothing against Poetic Flacco, but it looked like he's trying to stir some fake outrage against Godfrey. Yes, fake outrage, fake disappointment. Just like this fake outrage with the Obamas and Juneteenth. Stop acting like y'all mad over shit that you're not mad about. Okay? Just cut it out. I have never seen this is crazy. This is wild. This is wild. Even if I look in like those who are Bible believers and know that we are of Israel or Yasharel, even within, you know what I'm saying? Now, of course, we may not all be on the same page. And that's all that the Sonetta channel ever been about, is getting, it's a boxing match. He is the Don King of YouTube. But I have never seen so much division. I'm just looking around. There's this xenophobia. When have our people ever been, all xenophobic and trying to this front? When have we been chanting USA, USA? Oh my gosh, we just really, really copying the Gentiles. And this ain't about me being, this ain't about me being an anti-American or whatever, or a traitor, or Benedict Arnold. Black folks, y'all need to stop. And I'm going to say black folks in this case. Y'all need to quit playing. Stop acting like you're so outraged over this. Stop acting like, like this is nuts. This is nuts. What's going on? This is nuts. I've been just trying to get it from the time I came to YouTube. Now, I've been in social media for a while, but YouTube more specifically, because that's why I really saw an agenda happening. I just been trying to get us to see that we ain't each other's enemy. That's all I ever been trying to see. We ain't each other's enemy. That's all I ever, if you've noticed, the only people that you've ever seen me address, like by name or whatever, whoever you saw me, whether you saw it as a beef or whatever, or just me addressing them in video, it was only those who I felt were causing divisions with our people. Even when I addressed the Golden Sphere, it was just basically a thing of, no, you're saying you speak for light-skinned Black women, you don't speak for me. What you are saying is very divisive and very mean and very cruel and very anti-Black. However, I have been talking, and that I've been saying, and I've been, and reflecting and everything, that we need to acknowledge, we do need to, yes, I'm going to say elevate. This ain't about, because I think we've been too caught up in worshiping our melanin or creation over the creator. We need to represent, we are more than just Black. Or we are more than just a color, a symbol. We are supposed to be representing Yasharel, and it is through that you are going to see the power. So I'm not even looking. We are more than just a country, okay? We are more than just, geography, our skin, our hair. See, we need to be representing Yasharel. And see, when I'm talking to Yasharel, my people, I'm talking to my people worldwide. Whether you are in the UK, whether you're light-skinned, dark-skinned, male, female, I want us all to come together. Even if you are mixed. And it's something I'm beginning to wonder about that whole thing, the father, the seed. I'm not saying that, but what if that applies mainly to the males? Because when I think about it with women, with females, They're not identified by their Y DNA, but empty DNA. Maybe that, but anyways, regardless, you can still be grafted in. Okay. I'm talking to Yasharel in general. That's who I just been trying to reach. I am not looking at I'm not so much looking at all that other stuff. I'm not looking at what country, all that. Of course, I'm gonna be speaking in lingo and stuff that, that's more relatable to my quote unquote ethnicity as a Black American. And of course, as a Black American woman, as what is considered by law a Black American woman, I'm more able to speak for Black American women more specifically than men. However, I'm like, I know this sounds, like a lot of fluff, kumbaya talk, but yeah, it is what it is. I just want us to, this ain't no Beatles come together talk. What's up? What's up? What's up? But I don't know. I'm spending too much time. What? What's this? Why am I getting sent a TikTok code? I'm trying to do something through me. But anyways, yeah, like I said, it just had to give you that little run through. I'm gonna have to abandon this channel just so I can try to pull concentration. But it's crazy because views are getting lower and lower. But just so I can try to pull concentration over on my other channel. And what I want to talk about. And if people are still interested in checking out the sheet for you, I just put these videos over here for a minute on private. Also to work on a project. Yeah, so because I know I went on and turned off for the StreamYard. Yeah, so I mean not paying for StreamYard for this. Yeah, but I'm gonna try to see if I could do something for a couple months. May put these videos on private only, not just for myself, because I know I'm always tempted to just casually talk with y'all. That's more so for myself. Maybe leave little shorts up. But there's always just something that, yeah, because I want to feel only forced to talk about what I feel is more important right now. And also there's certain projects I want to work on. I do want to go back to trying to do a series. I may not even, because I see it's just not happening over here on YouTube, but I may try another platform. But I do want to put out a series, something, more critical. Yeah, because we're creating, after me seeing that video yesterday, and I see they're getting bold and bold while we're just, oh my gosh. Because I was looking to see if somebody was going to address this, Somebody, I see that there's a video correcting that guy on Mansa Musa, because supposedly there's a movie coming up on Mansa Musa. But ain't nobody, nobody I'm seeing really, I'm like, dang. Because they really trying to desensitize people to get them in this, to get, I mean, I know y'all probably laughing at me saying it, like, probably thinking, well, shoot, they've already been, when have white people really changed? I know some of y'all may be thinking that, but they really want them to not just, get them to, prejudiced. They want them to feel bold, where they can be bold enough. You remember you watched those videos of the civil rights era where they just kicking black folks walking down the street like it was black man. You watch that footage like from the 1950s or early 60s, or I think like the 1950s, black man walking. He's well dressed with his suit on and hat on in the South. And as he just trying to peacefully walk, white men following him, kicking him in the behind and stuff like that. They want it. This is what I feel. They want to get them where they feeling bold. Because like y'all saying, this guy is saying the N-word, and you see what happened. Like, I feel like even with that Kevin Hart thing, it's like it's testing us. We will call you ninjas in your face, and you're going to laugh along with us. They want us to that point. like Azure TV shared. Now, when I had uploaded that very same thing, like a compilation of Eminem saying the N-word, the responses, at least, but I want to believe that all the responses I saw, hold on, y'all, hold on. Yeah, because Azure TV just shared this with me. And y'all know I had shared this before. I did a video on my one channel, even though I got on private, on my Eminem videos, where I shared where Eminem was saying the N-word, right? Okay, so he shared with me every time Eminem said the N-word. And this has even more. So there's all these times Eminem saying the N-word all throughout this on stage, and look at the comments. Please tell me that these are bots or just white people tend to be. This isn't a cancellation video. This is a highlight reel. He said it thousands of times off cam with the homies. Yeah, because let them. Oh wait, y'all can't see it. I forgot. I got it covered. I'm like, man, if I didn't believe Bible prophecy, if I didn't know Bible prophecy, I would think that we are all totally screwed. We done for. Okay, so this compilation, I thought y'all was seeing what I was showing you. Eminem saying, okay, look at the comments. Okay, so all throughout here, Eminem saying the N-word. I shared this with y'all before. But now look at the comments. Now, I guess, look, as a black dude, now I'm not saying we don't know who these people are, but I'm afraid to say the N-word without Eminem's permission. And it gets a heart. Eminem doesn't have an N-word pass. He has an N-word badge. As a black person, I was offended that he didn't say it. Eminem is blacker than Drake. I'm about to cry. As a black guy myself, I need Eminem's permission in order to say it. I may have to make a separate video on this shit. I can't. We done for. Child, we done for. Please tell me these are bots. Please tell me these are white trolls. He accidentally changed his skin tone in the menu, but started as a black character. Oh, God. My mom won't say, your mom didn't say shit. My mom once said that Eminem, I'm gonna have to do something separate on this or just take this part out. My mom once said that Eminem's from Detroit. He's black by osmosis. Your mother didn't say shit. Yeah. Oh my goodness. We should get the government to officially transfer Drake's N-word pass to Eminem. Eminem is blacker than Aubrey Graham. Please tell me this is. Yeah, okay, look, I'm going to this person's channel. Please tell me. Please tell me these are. Please tell me. I don't even know who the hell is Aubrey Graham. I think I know who that is. Please tell me that these you got that some of these may actually be black folks. These may actually be black people, yeah. When Eminem says it, it seems more natural. When Drake says it, he sounds like a rich white lady. This same guy Eminem was calling us spiritual chuckers. He had the racist rap hour every Friday or whatever. Where they said it's a lot of audio of him calling us spirit chuckers, porch monkeys. I can't. Give me help. Take me now. The pass was invented for this man. As a black dude, Eminem says it's better than me. It goes on and on. His dad is Dr. Dre. It's fine. Only nigga that I trust is me, Eminem. Wait, did he say that? Hold on. Let me hear that. We got to hear that. Say what? Only nigga that I trust is me. And then they got Joe, this butt kisser from Survivor over here on the side. Oh my gosh. I can't. What'd you say?
tell me. Oh, wait, what's that? I'm so sick of the small has manipulated. Oh, you know, I know what's up. Ben Shapiro has been caught for multiple times on hot mics. Yeah. And if anybody don't see that this is the same thing with this Matt Walsh person, nobody don't see it's the same thing. Yeah, you know, Daily Wire. Come on. And white people are just as stupid. They just as clueless and lost. So don't think that I'm saying, oh, we're so done. But see, they're trying to get them bold. They want to get back to a point where, you know, wait, I don't know that footage of the black man getting kicked while walking down the street. And I used to hate seeing stuff like that. They want white. I'm telling you. They want to go back. I remember when I saw this. I remember when I saw these pictures when I was. I remember when I was like in school and like when I was high school and just look at some of these images back in the 80s. And I used to say, damn, I wish I could take old girl and just put her ass, the one that's screaming at the black girls that are trying to go to school. You know, I wish you could just zap her ass into a time machine and put her here in 1988 with us. The same white girl. I mean, I used to just think stuff like this when she yelling and thinking she could, you know what I'm saying? And put us here with the school that's black girls at our high school. That's how I'm telling you. When I would see this stuff, it would piss me off. And what was that with the footage? The black man getting kicked. Hold on. I don't know. I don't know. Is that footage? It was like, I don't know if it was Birmingham, Alabama, but it was from that era. And it would show like a black man, you know, he's just walking, just trying to walk. And these white folks just kicking him. They just badass. Of course, they wouldn't fight him as an individual. But they would just, I can't really find. Maybe y'all shouldn't see it. You know, y'all probably know what I'm talking about. Y'all probably know what I'm talking about. Yeah, but it would just show. I'm assuming it was like either late 50s, maybe early 60s. That footage used to always just really piss me off. Like really bad. I'm telling you, that's why I feel like this whole thing, the Kevin Samuels thing, like a humiliation ritual, or like they just like seriously testing us. You know what I'm saying? Like they just seriously saying, just like Eminem, I'm going, you know what? I'm gonna have y'all calling me the greatest rapper all time, and y'all gonna be calling me a rap god. I'm gonna take what you do. They just really seeing how bold they can be. So that's the thing. So they're gonna go as far as, we're gonna talk about Emmett Till and what you gonna do about it. What you gonna do about it? Oh yeah, see, this is the thing too. Oh, he's a Jesuit. Interesting. So he's part of the Jesuit order. And don't think, because they're also trying to make this whole thing like make it seem as if the white Protestant versus the Catholic. Remember, it really goes back to the Catholic Church. So don't think that, one is the better than the other. No, don't be fooled by that. And he's a Jesuit Catholic. Interesting. Right. Good point. Matt Walsh is being used just like Eminem was being used by Jimmy Iovine. Right. I'm glad that you pointed that out. And let Eminem get out of line, not do what they tell him to do. They're gonna put all that the racist rap out. We gonna hear every bit of it. I have a feeling it's gonna still happen eventually. But I'm glad I know what I know about prophecy, because otherwise we'd be cooked. Not just black people, white people. We'd all be destroyed. I mean, or those, Anglos who feel that because I see with them they're just as stupid. They actually, but as long as these people, because everybody, they're just going along with whatever tickles their ears. They're not questioning anything. There's very same people who complain about race baiting. They're definitely falling into the race baiting. But they want them, they see, this is the thing, desensitize them. And I'm seeing a lot of these cults and cliques, even within the quote unquote mixed sectors. What you got to first do, you got to first make people into a victim. Make it seem as if you're a voice for people who are not heard, people supposedly, and you got to make people seem like they're victims. So you got to take these examples and highlight them and magnify them. And you know what I'm saying? These examples you can use for the propaganda. Then you got to do this process, getting people angry to the point where you can now begin to embolden them by desensitizing them to the lies. So even if it means you're talking about children who have been unalive. See, how do these cults and cliques and stuff begin? But I know that I got to talk about more important things. I know I keep saying this. It's like you can't even times I just be wanting to talk about music, and it's just always something that's just reminding me. Like, they really got me to the point where I don't even want to hear a Michael Jackson song. That's how I'm feeling. Because especially after I saw with that film with John Branca, how they had him presented as Michael's friend. That's what angered me even more than anything. They demonized Joe Jackson. They had John Branca, to totally demonize him. But they had John Branca as if he was actually closer to Michael than his own dad, or had more concern. And I'm like, wow, just wow. And I'm at a point where I don't even, so it's like, I can't even, I don't want to discuss Michael. I don't want to discuss Prince, because I can't discuss it. I was just watching on the Dallas Cowgirls cheerleader, the little Netflix special. They got a new one, because I remember them from the 70s being really popular when I was a kid. I'm still being a female and all, and I used to like dance. But I was, they was performing the Baby I'm a Star. That's cool and all. I was like, damn, now you could just use Prince music with any and everything now, it's just, I don't know. I was always one of the people when it came to discussions of Prince, for instance, in music. I was already exclusive anyway. Like, you can't talk about Prince. You got to know Prince. I felt like I was the only one who knew his music. Okay, you really talk about these, So I was already like that. But now the way I feel like I don't want to, because I look at these videos that are supposedly just on music and stuff. It's like nobody's keeping it real. Nobody's, especially when I question some of these artists' passing. And I feel some of them have been taken out, and they realize that they can make more money from them deceased. Like they believe that our people are worth more dead. And so it's like, I can't even discuss music up in here like that. I don't even feel comfortable. I'm already struggling with trying to wean myself off of what worldly music or music that the Most High would not approve of, like the lyrics and all. So I'm already trying to struggle with that. But now it's just like, but like I said, we're gonna have to get it together, because I have never, this is what I just showed y'all with them comments and Eminem video. And like, when you think of this whole thing with the Kevin Hart situation, it looks like that white guy that was on there got another state, and you saw Kevin Hart, and so black men and black women are giving that a pass. Of course they don't represent black people in general. Cheryl Underwood, Cat Williams, and these people who are making excuses, but Yeah, it's like we're really being tested. We're really being tested. Yeah, they want to see if we are at a point where they feel that they could be bold and badass again, to the point of where we're walking down the street and they want to feel that, they want us to go back to a time when we walk down the street, like how it was in the deep segregated South, where if a white person passed by, the things I was told as a child from my family from the South, like you had to kind of step out the way. Oh, wait, a white man, I got to get out that person's way. They want to get to a point where we know that we got to give up our seat and get to the back of the bus. They want us to, and if we have absolutely no unity, and you best believe they're also thinking the mix with black people too. And it would be so much easier to do. Look at how, they want to get to a point where, just like that black man just walking down the street, if they feel like they want to kick us, if they feel like they want to, like in the case of, what was her name? Reese, oh gosh, Taylor, where if they just want to take a black woman and, like they did, what was that sister? This was before Emmett Till. Where they RAPED, the sister coming home from church. This is something that they would do. They get a black woman to break a young white boy's virginity or whatever. Whether they would go to a whorehouse or just get any random black woman. Because a black woman could not claim that she was RAPED. They want to get to that point where they could they could even come to your home and say, you know what, hand over your daughter. It seems that way. Like at the time in 1995, like I talked about the OJ verdict, when they read not guilty, that's, I bet you white folks really felt they lost it. They never witnessed nothing like that. No. Where a black man they believe got away with unaliving a white blonde young woman and her white dude, and that's also when they felt they can come together. Her white little hat, her boyfriend. They kind of put them differences beside in the early, that they were having, you were seeing played out on the talk shows in the early 90s. Like on Donahue and stuff. They want to get to a point they probably felt they had no power. They probably felt, oh, we can't express our anger in front of these black folks cheering around us over the OJ verdict. They probably felt powerless. Social media has given them this like newfound power. With stuff they would have been afraid of, saying in front of us, around us. But now see, that's the thing. They got to get us to a point where we're just like weasels or something. I'm not telling us that we need to be prepared to fight and all that. I'm not saying that. So don't get it twisted. I'm just saying they want us to a point where we won't say shit, where we just, you know what I'm saying? And look at this. We're so busy. This fake outrage over the Obamas and Juneteenth. Fake outrage over Godfrey interviewing African. Who cares? He said a Carter. I don't give a damn. But it's not, I know it's not, deep down, I know it's not happening though for white people the way they think it might be happening. It's not happening. So, but I can't even imagine if I didn't know what I knew, Bible prophecy. But it's not happening. But I do know that it may be happening for certain people who do not acknowledge that we are Yasharel. But
yeah, they're saying they're testing us, seeing how we respond, showing us how like that we're supposed to be responding like Kevin Hart and Cheryl Underwood, to the point where we're so desensitized to it where we will even laugh with them. I'm not saying that we should get our feelings hurt any longer. I'm saying they want us to the point where they can call us the N-word in our face and we ain't gonna say or do ish, but laugh maybe. Or maybe even congratulate them. Look at that, you know. They want black women to get back to a point. They want us to be like what they used to see in the films. Remember on It's a Wonderful Life, where he could just hit the black woman on the tap, the black booty woman on the booty, and she's still loyal, mammy. They don't like these haughty black women. How dare you think you could? Yeah, and you remember O'Shea Duke Jackson was the main one feeding into that when he responded to Korean Gaines. How dare you think you could talk to, even though he was trying to be sarcastic? No. You knew exactly what he was doing. See, Corinne, she represented that black female ride or die. And then I see too, you do have some of these ones from these sectors. They're also pointing out the silly, her also, being light skinned. But yeah, just what Sandra Bland and Corinne Gaines symbolize. That haughty, supposedly what they see as a haughty black woman. Because Sandra Bland also, if you know, she did videos in defense of black people, black men included. And the idea of these black women, you thinking you can stand up to the white, because you also got black women. I know from me being once upon a time, I have my own office. You got a lot of these black white people, they don't like that. That these black women who were once definitely under us, they feel that, you thinking you could tell me what to do? You thinking you can be the boss of me? That's why they use that little statue that they had up temporarily in Times Square with the black woman, hand on the hips, thick looking black woman, to kind of taunt white men, to kind of trigger them. And this is supposed to counter the statues of white men. It's like, stop using us for y'all little messages. Yeah, they knew what they doing. They're trying to trigger white men. Yeah, so they want to get us to a point where we got our head hung. Yes, sir. Quicker to go at Drake, but overlook Eminem. Interesting. But anyways, I wonder if this whole beef is scripted, and Drake and Kendrick Lamar is involved. But yeah, I'll get back with y'all. Oh yeah, I'm glad. What? I didn't know that. Really? Hold on, let me look that up. I mean, I know about Margaret Sanger, but I didn't know she was. Hold on, she was ish. Oh, they saying that she what? Okay, that's just a quick AI overview, but you can't totally trust that. She was born though to a devout Roman Catholic family of Irish descent. Interesting. Oh, but well, I do see something that's saying her allies. Hold on, but I found something. This is interesting. They're saying that there's a woman that influenced her. I never heard of this woman before. I'm trying to. I'm kind of scared to click in this and share this with y'all. It's what I'm saying on this channel. 4 years before, this is something from 2017, before women won the right to vote in the United States, Margaret Sanger, the future founder of Planned Parenthood, and her sister Ethel Byrne met a young-ish immigrant named Fania Mendel. Interesting. On October 16th, 1919, the trio opened the country's first birth control clinic located in a tenement in Brownsville, New York. Wow. Whoa. This is wild. Now, I do believe that Brownsville is like a New York equivalent to Bronzeville in Chicago, right? That, named Brownsville because, right, the black community. Am I right or am I wrong? But then Brownsville back then, let me see, they were saying it was predominantly ish from the 1880s until the 1950s. So maybe I'm wrong. Am I wrong or I don't know. But it all depends on also where they first when they first opened that clinic. I want to share with y'all the site, but I'm seeing things pop up that looks kind of, but it's forward.com, the Covenant Foundation. Fania Mendel, interesting. Oh yeah, and they said in 1919, located in a tenement in Brownsville, New York, as Planned Parenthood makes contemporary headlines. Interesting. Wow. Let me just share with y'all briefly. This is where I'm reading it's from. But I'm seeing things kind of pop up. So let me stop sharing. Dang it, I'm trying to. This is wild. So this is Fania and Mendel's contribution to the clinic made fewer headlines. Wow, there's always a puppet master, ain't there? But presaged some of Planned Parenthood's most important work. Born in Minsk, Russia, Mendel spoke English, Italian, and Yiddish, making her a crucial liaison to Brownsville's diverse, heavily immigrated community. She went door to door in the neighborhood while the clinic was in operation, handing out pamphlets about its services. When ish clients visited the clinic, she translated. Let me see. Wow, that's crazy. How is somebody from like Russia, how do they come over and have such influence? This is, oh my goodness. I've never heard of this person. That's crazy. I'm gonna have to. It's crazy. I gotta stop playing around. I'm gonna use like, oh my goodness. Yeah. Oh goodness. This is wild. This is wild. And I noticed they're trying to fuel the whole thing, the Protestant versus Catholic, Donald Trump supposedly like representing Protestant white American. Then you have this Pope, him, but it's all. I'm telling you, and I think it's all part of a Luciferian agenda to just destroy altogether, quote unquote, Christianity. But see, I'm no longer referring to myself as a Christian. I believe in Yahushua HaMashiach. But I believe they're going to use Christian to usher in the beast system, which pretty much already. You're going to use under the guise of
quote unquote Christianity. I know it sounds like, how could I say that as a Bible believer? But yeah, this is, if we don't see what's going on, so they're doing any and everything any little thing that we could be divided on, especially those of us who are descendants of Yasharel, any and everything that we could be divided on, whether it's nationality, complexion, hair texture, whatever, any gender. See that? Yeah, you gotta first start. That's the thing. You gotta first start with the man and the woman. You gotta first start with the man and the woman, because you got to come together. You know, that's how the family begins on earth, that is. And even more so, separating us from our relationship and our connection with the Most High. Yeah, they did that years ago. And convincing us that we are any and everything, we're more, we're black, we're everything but Yasharel. That's the thing. First and foremost, cutting our spiritual connection. That's what's missing from our music. I had initially said not Tariq Nasheed. He taking notes from people like myself. Like I said, the soul is missing. Notice there's no longer any even gospel connections like it used to be. And this is very much missing from our music. And they're just doing everything and trying to separate. Don't get it twisted, because you know the Bible does say to be ye separate. But that's not, yeah. And we need to know who we are. You know, I think that if we know our differences and understand that we're not all the same, I think we can have a better respect for each other. If we do have that understanding that even with all quote unquote black people, we're not all the same. But the way that they're doing this, the way that this is being done, you know, instead of us, you know, sharing, you know, and expressing our differences, and, you know, where it can lead to us being fascinated or just, you know, having a respect for each other. It's the way that it's being done. Because really, we're supposed to be like a light to these other nations. We're supposed to be setting the ultimate example and representing Yasharel. Although we do have to be ye separate from the world, from, you know. So I want us to know the difference between, let's say, E1B1A, E1B1B. I want us, even if it was possible, to understand, you know, who we are even more specifically as Judah, as Yahudah. But not with the same intentions that people have, you know what I'm saying? And what they're doing. You know, I understand that a person from, me being from Chicago, is going to be different, you know, that person from New York. I've always been a person fascinated with different cultures and different countries. You know, I'm definitely I definitely would love to go visit the African continent, more specifically Nigeria. But we do need to come together under the umbrella of Yah, and that's what's most important. And so let me get out of here, y'all. You know what? I don't remember that. Yeah, I remember he had like the War on the Horizon. I never heard of that woman that's mentioned. They're saying that she is, yeah, even if Margaret Sanger isn't, then it's showing here. I have to do more research on that. But she did. Yeah, and it's interesting. She came from a Roman Catholic background. That's interesting. Yeah, I didn't know actually that she was of Irish descent even. Didn't know that. But see, they always, remember I was just talking about with the one with Emmett Till, because let them tell it, the Irish were totally innocent. They were the innocent. You know, white people had nothing to do with, but, you know, Emmett Till's accuser. And it's what's interesting is that Emmett Till's accuser, Carolyn Donham, what's interesting, they said that her family was poor, very poor and Irish, But if you look today, her family members, she's got family members who are high ranking, or they're in politics and everything in the South. Interesting. Makes you think of that, publication, How the Irish Became White. And with Margaret Sanger, the way she was talking, with the eugenics, I would have just seriously thought that she was atheist. Totally believing in Darwinism and stuff. But that's all I'm saying. Don't be fooled. These people, they're way more dangerous than the atheists. These people do not be fooled. These wicked powers, the people that have been given this power by the wicked one, they are not atheists. Not at all. Don't be fooled. Do not be fooled. You cannot be Luciferian if you are a true atheist. They are, even if they're worshiping themselves. That's why even like when you consider like with Masonic, they expect you to believe in something. That's why I say some of these who claim to be agnostic and stuff, I think that they are way more dangerous. Some of these people, they definitely all these new ages. What you say? You don't believe that none of that humble beginnings for most of these people they claim David Rock? Really? Yeah. Ironically, I was just talking about that with my niece about these musicians. Like they made it even with a lot of these musicians, like especially like those who blew up like in the 60s and stuff, making you think that they were just they just put together a band in their garage. Like I was telling my niece with Jim Morrison, he was not like just some loner kid. Yeah, you find out that his dad was in the military and they have these backgrounds. But let me get out of here, y'all. Thanks so much for joining Adam Guidry, Yapo. Man, it's a lot of input. You got me wanting to really dig deeper. Right, they were chosen. Exactly. And I'm realizing even with some of these social media personalities, oh gosh. Oh my gosh. One of these days, maybe I could do a series. It wouldn't be in YouTube though. A series of my YouTube journey and these personalities and the information that I did not get to expose. Or didn't feel comfortable. I don't, on certain people, i.e. Cynthia G, that I had found. I'm telling you, these people, I'm telling you. But I am going to, and I'm going to eventually just to force me to have some discipline to work on what I want to work on. I'm trying to only be on the other channel. I'm going to really try to go back to doing that. Even if it means me putting this channel on private for a minute, or just privatizing these videos or something for a minute, just to force me to get back on it. Because I notice when I do that, I'm more productive. The time that I'm spending here, I could be working on a video series or something more. So expecting to do that, although I do still want to, also with me not choosing to not pay for StreamYard. So, my husband's here. So being that I've been, since my birthday and stuff, I have been like really, really falling off. Back to eating carelessly. I'm loving food more than ever in these postmenopausal years. I'm yearning, craving protein, meat. I'm loving food more than I ever have. So the sister's slipping. I'm definitely slipping. And oh my gosh, when you get my age and you're going through what I'm going through, if you don't get enough protein, I find myself craving sugar. Oh, more than I ever have. This is bad. It's like you got to get protein. I didn't realize just how important protein was. And it's hard. Believe it or not, it's not easy trying to get 150 grams of protein every day. That's not easy. That is not, that's a lot of meat, especially you got more people to feed. But I mean, that's a lot of protein. And I keep trying, I just don't like beans. I don't like beans. But it's like if I don't get, I'm craving sugar like nuts. Like having in the middle of the night cravings. Like I've never been like this. Like my gosh, it makes it so difficult. And I can't be eating sugar and carbs like all like that. But I just wasn't that much of a meat eater, but now it's like I got to have. I don't know how the older women like Cicely Tyson and stuff were vegan. That mean they were eating a lot of beans. They were eating a lot of pinto beans and stuff. They had to have been. You say turpentine? Ain't that it makes parasites and fungus that makes you crave sugar. And B'nai Israel, I remember they had a thing on sugar, like really kind of being like an enemy of our people. People warn against white food, period, and not being good for us. But sugar, they had a thing more specifically, even when you think of the sugar plantations, almost like it's been something evil for our people. But since my birthday, I have been straight up slipping. And I'm telling you, I've been slipping, Peninsula. I've been slipping. Every time I do it so good, I've been slipping. Since my birthday, I've been having a little too much. I've been slipping. Ooh, child, that food's good. What was the restaurant I went to? It was Soul Vibes. That food was, oh my gosh, it was so good. Mashed potatoes, the sweet potatoes, Lord, it was good. I could have something like that. They had lamb chops, and it wasn't enough for me. Oh goodness, I want to become a foodie now. Go to. Oh boy, yeah. I'm trying to go to the black-owned restaurant in Chicago outside of it. Yeah, I've been slipping. I'm doing so good. It's always me. I'm one of those people. I fall off like a diet or something. If I go on a vacation, if I go out of town, I am really one of them people. Like if I go out of town, I really mess up. I always mess up like going out of town. I remember on The Biggest Loser where they would test them. They would do that test. And at my age, I'm okay. I don't have to be, even though, no, my stomach ain't snatched. I don't know if that'll ever go away. But, as long as I'm at a healthier, I'm cool. I haven't reached that ultimate goal. I don't think I'll ever look like how I looked like at 30 years old. Definitely not 20 years old. I don't think that's ever going to happen, or even 30 years old. But as long as I'm okay with it. I'm okay. I'm an older woman. See, you're older woman, you can get away with not being so snatched. And I'm not one for getting, even though I talk bad, I'm not really one for me having the breast reduction was enough. I want a tummy tuck, I ain't gonna lie. But when you get my age, that may be risky. But yeah, that was something that they had B'nai Israel on sugar. Oh, hold on. That was really something to think about. And Israel's curse. I don't know if y'all saw this. Israel's curse of sugar. But it was really something this was really something. Yeah, they did this a year ago. Now, I know that we say, well, sugar cane, it's one of y'all's creations. And,
Yeah, but it does make you think, certain things may not have been meant to be utilized for certain reasons. Yeah, I remember when Sugar Bear, I remember the Super Golden Chris. I remember when he was Sugar Bear. Yeah, that they're bad. It used to be called Sugar Crisp when I was a kid. That's what I'm saying. In the 70s, it was sugar every Kool-Aid and see that was the thing. We were just moving more. I'd like to believe we were healthier. Well, of course, things were still different than they are now. Like Sugar Smacks. Yeah, it was Sugar Crisp, Sugar Smacks. It wasn't Honey Smacks. It wasn't honey. It was Sugar Crisp when I was a and that bear, he used to be cool. I used to love the little cartoon. He talked like he was a brother. Can't get enough soup. He like a jazzy, cool brother. But yeah, this is Sugar Bear and Israel's Curse of Sugar. That was a very interesting. That's the thing. We got people up at YouTube doing these awesome videos. You have to Watchmen reports. Why? See, I can complain about YouTube all day long, but obviously I'm still here for a reason. And I'll even include myself in that and putting out pretty awesome series, at least with my Ancient Egypt series. But that was the great thing about social media. It's reaching, people who have over the years, like the Whited Out series, Watchmen Reports, the B'nai Israel, and Hidden Hebrews. We've had some great, like this right here. This was interesting. This was very interesting. And yeah, like even when you think about with the Australians, I remember learning that and they was loving it at first, but many of them was dying. And yeah, but yeah, more specifically, Israel's curse with sugar. Because really, you gotta think about it. Yeah, more of us died our addiction to sugar than cocaine. That's the thing in my family. Like my grandma and stuff, diabetes. And I'm wanting sugar right now. That's all I'm thinking about right now. What I'm finna go in here and make myself. Oh goodness. Yeah, I have to be careful. Like it's something like a birthday vacation, something like that. I fall off. First, I'll be real, real disciplined. What I do usually to get me back off of sugar, I'll just go a day like fasting or just eating fruit. Like bananas kind of help me. Even though it's high in sugar, at least it's a good sugar. Bananas kind of help me in with the craving. I try to keep bananas to curb, and I'll like what I usually do, like fast, or just if I or just have a fruit and vegetable fast for like 2-3 days, and that'll usually get me kind of off of. But right as of now, I'm on it. I'm on it. Had something last night I ain't had in a long time, and that was a bowl of sweet cereal. I ain't even really like the Reese Puff. In the middle of the night, I like, I'm getting cravings. And I ain't have a bowl of cereal like that in a long time. Only cereal I'll be getting is that shredded wheat. The I showed y'all on one of my videos. It's a Wheaton brand, has 0 sugar. And you gotta look, because a lot of these, that's the only thing. And I may sweeten it with I'll chop bananas in it to kind of sweeten it with unsweetened almond milk. I know that sounds boring, but that's the only because I used to love cereal. It's a mental thing with my family. Like when we be broke and my mom would get a check, and the first thing we want is like cereal because it made us feel like we had a little money. So it's a mental thing with me. So for me to not eat cereal, and I'm also a person, I'm Afrocoid / Negroid because I'm lactose intolerant. But I would still take the risk. I loved me a bowl of cereal on milk. It's a mental thing. It reminds me of watching Saturday morning cartoons and stuff with my brothers. Okay, I'm gonna look into it. I thought turpentine was like okay. Yeah, that's what I be telling my husband. You know, sodas. I'm telling you what we say. Pop, Chicago, and it's so sad with the minister of wellness. It's really messed up how he didn't flip flop like that. Cause I did. Yeah. Oh goodness, that just really messed up. Cause I had purchases, publications, and stuff, and I felt that I had, you know, I did feel that some of the information I took from him, helped. That don't mean that people ain't right about certain things, but that's how they get you. That's how some of these people get you. They're gonna bring facts and stuff. But yeah, this was very, very interesting. The curse, Israel's curse of sugar, Benaiah Israel. Very, very interesting watch. Yeah, but what I had learned, see what it is with menopause, and the men also go kind of through this too, where you get a depletion, as your hormone levels drop, your protein it like depreciates, or you know you lose muscle, you lose protein, thus you lose your hormone levels drop, lose certain percentage of muscle like every year. And as you're losing that muscle, losing that protein, that's what caused you to have more of a craving for protein and or sugar. you know Some more insulin resistance, all that stuff gets affected. So that's what I'm kind of feeling now. I remember my friend who was experiencing, also my age, a little older than me, she was experiencing those symptoms from menopause before I was. And I didn't know what she was talking about with the cravings. Now, this is my friend. She had a nice shape, ever been overweight in any manner. When she was talking to me about how these cravings, I saw, and see, she's the type, her weight goes right to her hips and booty and stuff. The places I would prefer for. You see, it don't happen like that with me. But yeah, but I never, me seeing that she was saying the sugar cravings, right? Like it's driving her crazy. So she was like, she gonna start hormonal replacement therapy, HRT. And I didn't know what she was talking. And then it hit. I see what she's talking about. Like, oh my gosh. But see, me by that time I had already like put on weight, but I didn't. I was already going through the menopausal, but this with the whole sugar crave that didn't hit me. That made it worse. Cause every times I wake up in the middle of the night, I got to make me a peanut butter sandwich or something. I see what she's talking about. Like, gosh, yeah. And men kind of go through their own little version of, I guess we just don't call it menopause, but they kind of go through, they kind of experience that too. Um, yeah, like you're not gonna see Arnold Schwarzenegger ever look like how he looked. He still goes to the gym and stuff, but there's no way that he's gonna ever look like what he looked. And I notice when I go to the gym, it be a lot of them older people, like a lot of older black men and women. I like seeing that. You know, I think I saw one with this man. It was a black man and his son, and they were both like bodybuild weightlifters. And he was an older black man, and he was pretty muscular than what you would have expected with you know. But yeah, it's kind of hard to keep that muscle density and stuff, and that's what I've been trying to even more so build. That's what's been helping me combat building the muscle. Yeah, it's not gonna reflect the way I'd like to see it on the scale, but as long as I see it with my clothes and see it, yeah. Um, yeah, so I'm sorry. I didn't say it 5 times. I'm getting out of here. Y'all enjoy the rest of your day. If you do happen to see, videos privatized or the channel privatized, please go over to the other you're supposed to do that already. All right. But that's just for my good. That just means I'm working, I'm preserving this channel just in case, and I'm working on a project and I'm just trying to stay focused.
so I don't be tempted to come up in here and just be chilling, and when I know I need to be working on something. And that's what I'm trying to do right now. So I will get back with y'all later. Much peace, and make sure to subscribe to the other channel and look out for videos and stuff that I may upload over there. So much peace and much love, my family.